Well, hey, it's time for Ask the Tech Guys. Coming up, Scott Wilkinson will tell us how the Christmas Tuba Festival went and talk a little bit about streaming channels and how to get them.
And I'm Micah Sargent, and I give you the answer for what you do when one of your family members wants to leave the iCloud family sharing nest.
And then Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy, answers the question, why can't I just change the battery on my electric vehicle? It's all coming up next on Ask the Tech Guys.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Ask the Tech Guys with Micah Sargent and Leo Laporte. Episode 2004, recorded Sunday, December 10th, 2023. Stringy Floppy. Ask the Tech Guys is brought to you by Discourse, the online home for your community. Discourse makes it easy to have meaningful conversations and collaborate anytime, anywhere. Visit discourse.org/twit to get 1 month free on all self-serve plans. And by our friends at IT Pro TV, now called ACI Learning. Keep your IT team skills up to date with the speed of technology. Visit go.acilearning.com/twit. Twit listeners, you'll get up to 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. Depends on the size of your team, so complete the form and find out how much you can save at go.acilearning.com/twit. And by Cashfly, delivering rich media content up to 159% faster than other major CDNs. Join Cashfly, the world's fastest CDN. Your website visitors will love Cashfly's lag-free video loading, hyper-fast downloads, and friction-free transaction processing. Learn how to get your first month free at cashfly.com/twit. Well, hey! Happy holidays. It's time for Ask the Tech Guys.
Welcome back.
Hi, Morticia. Thank you.
Hello, Leo Laporte.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Thank you. You did 3 shows without me.
I did.
I apologize. First of all, my bad. I hate it when people say my bad. That's a way of like not really taking responsibility. Oh, my bad.
I don't think it's something you apologize for, though.
I apologize, but thank you.
Time to do
And did you have fun without me?
I had fun.
Without the old guy?
We had fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
I had fun too.
Good.
I got my brain rewired. So we'll see if it works. Had a wonderful, wonderful time. And because it is Hanukkah, it is the second day of Hanukkah. I am wearing my Clippy,
very cute,
Windows ugly Hanukkah sweater.
This was the one
last
from
year's
last
Microsoft.
Year.
Yeah. This year apparently was not ugly. And so
no.
Forget about it. You have one as well, which is weird.
Yeah.
But I think it's wise that we don't wear it at the same time because we ain't the Doublemint twins, kids.
W flavor.
So this week, there was so much excitement going on Tuesday on Mac Break Weekly, because the company Beeper that has made in the past a compatible iMessages tool for Android users. But its tool wasn't great because they had to run a Mac Mini in their operations center, and you had to give them your Apple login, and they were logged into it on this Mac in their computer room, and it felt wrong.
The security implications were not great.
Felt wrong. So it turns out there was this apparently a 16-year-old high school kid who wrote a Python, who somehow reverse engineers Apple's authentication server and wrote a Python script, which he posted on GitHub, that let you log in as if you were an iPhone, even though you're not. Mm-hmm. You're on an Android device. Beeper immediately released it as Beeper Mini and offered a 7-day free trial of Beeper Mini, which I installed right here. And before the 7-day trial ran out, Apple cut it off yesterday.
Yeah, very
Didn't take long.
I was surprised at how quickly it got cut off, and that Apple was able to differentiate, because that was one of the early things, right? That they claimed that you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference.
So you interviewed Mijakovsky on your show on Tech News Weekly.
Yeah.
What did he say? He's the guy who founded Beeper, who came, by the way, has good credentials.
Pebble.
He started Pebble.
Yep.
So he knows what he's doing.
And an investor. So he was, even at that point, still feeling very positive about the whole thing. Yeah, on Thursday. So on Thursday, he explained that they had actually worked over the summer with this 16-year-old developer and had been working on Beeper Mini for some time to actually get it out. Because basically I asked about the differentiation between what that script was doing and what Beeper was kind of adding to the plate. And they had their own kind of background network that was helping with the push notification side of things. And they felt very positive about it. The party line, so to speak, seemed to be, hey, look, this is something that makes it better for everybody, for both Apple users and for Android users. This is something that is obviously something the company would want because they care about privacy. And I really tried to get into the weeds in talking about what could possibly happen. Were they prepared for Apple to shut this down? And Mijakovsky did not want to answer that question.
They implied that Apple couldn't shut it down because if they did, it would break their own authentication for their users. I was skeptical. On Tuesday on MacBreak Weekly, we talked about it. I said there's three issues for Apple. Can they technically do it without damaging their existing users? Should they do it? Will enough people use Beeper Mini that Apple even cares? And if they do it, are they willing to take some heat for being monopolistic? Because in effect, this is saying no. Right. We're keeping. Now, I also suspected that Apple would play the security card, and which is reasonable.
Exactly
which is to say, if we're going to let just any old people log into authentication servers, that's insecure. Here's Apple's statement. I'll read this in a suitably Apple-y voice. At Apple, we build our products and services with industry-leading privacy and security technologies designed to give users control of their data and keep personal information safe. Okay, so they played the card. That's playing it hard. We took steps to protect our users by blocking techniques that exploit fake credentials. They were not fake. They were my real
credentials,
Apple credentials. In order to gain access to iMessage, these techniques pose significant risks to user security and privacy. You're a mean one, Mr. Cook, including the potential for metadata exposure. And enabling unwanted messages, spam, and phishing attacks. We will continue to make updates in the future to protect our users. So, apparently Apple did have a way of turning it off, which doesn't surprise me. Come on, right? Of course they did. And they played the security card, which they're hoping with the EU, which, by the way, the EU and the Digital Markets Act is going back and forth on whether to force Apple to be interoperable, whether to force Apple to allow Android devices to log into Apple's messages. The EU, by the way, it looks like are going to say, no, you don't have to, Apple, because this happened this week, by the way. They said Apple is not prominent enough in business. Apple messages are not prominent in business to make that threshold of I can't remember what it was, 50 million users, to make it be a requirement that they be interoperable. So they were going to let Apple off the hook, which Apple probably went, oh, whew. So no surprise they've disconnected it. Now I sent you a couple of messages.
And they did go through at the time. I thought that this would take longer. I knew that eventually it would get shut down. I thought it would take longer. I was surprised. I'll be honest. I was surprised at how quickly it happened. But I have to say, there is one part that I agree with Apple on, in the aspect of thinking about how easy it would be to suddenly use iMessage to sign up a bunch of accounts and spam people over iMessage. That is annoying. Yeah. And I am able to, at this moment, separate out those messages and at least kind of relegate them to a spam folder. Yeah. But if they are blue bubbles, does that change? So I'm glad that that's not the case.
I just don't know. Anyway, I sent this last message, which you have yet to receive. If you're reading this, Beeper is working again.
Yeah, did not.
And notice it says, failed to look up on server. Lookup request is, I think, denied is what it says. It got cut off. So it hasn't succeeded in going again. So I don't, and Mijakovsky says, we're working as hard as we can to get it back. They're not going to ever get it back. This was just a big ad, if you ask me. They knew this wouldn't last. This was a big ad for Beeper.com. So you'll use their service, which I do not recommend, because you're putting your credentials on their server, and I don't trust them. Eric, you're a nice guy, but no one should trust a third party with their Apple credentials, period. Now, I use a tool, and I would recommend this. It's only good if you have a Mac you can leave on all the time. But it's open source. It's free. There's no subscription. By the way, I think the $2 a month subscription is what Apple really pissed off.
Yeah,
right?
Which is, I think,
you can't use their technology and
make money off of it. And use a 16-year-old's idea.
Right.
And like that, yeah.
We'll give you $2 for this idea. So iMessage, which you can look up, it's free, it's open source. You run it on a Mac. I'm running it on my Mac Studio, which is always on anyway at home. It becomes a server. And now I can do it on Android. I can do it on Windows. In fact, I sent you a message from a Windows machine. That's right. Yeah, using iMessage. Using iMessage. It's a regular bubble. What is it? Blue? It's a blue bubble.
It's a blue. Yeah. It essentially is using the automation controls on your Mac.
Basically, the Mac Studio is what's sending it.
Yeah.
Because it has access to messages legitimately.
Yep.
And Apple, this has been around for at least a year, and Apple's never said word one about it.
Yeah. I mean, in that case, it's quite literally just you using your own system to do it. So
it's secure in the same way as it would be, if you're not using it. You're not letting anybody else have your credentials. I think it's a good solution. The drawback is you have to have a Mac that you're willing to leave on all the time.
Yeah.
And there's one other advantage. Beeper, there were, as we started using it, some drawbacks to Beeper. You couldn't, for instance, make it your primary Android messaging app.
Oh.
So that means it's just like Telegram or WhatsApp. It's just another messaging app. That's not a huge improvement. iMessage you can use as your primary messaging app. It could be your default messaging app, which means you don't, it now is how you message people.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll use SMS with Android, and it's really a great system. It'll use messages with iPhone people. So anyway,
there goes Beeper Mini.
No, no surprise. The only thing I thought Apple might slow down is because it is kind of an admission that, we want a monopolistic control of the, but it is their product, right?
Right. At the end of the day, their product, their servers, it all is, that's the other thing is I learned through this that Apple uses its Apple push notification service, APNS, is the means of sending iMessages to. It's all baked into one thing. So those push notifications that you get on your phone for other things are also for the iMessage service. And so in that way, suddenly having a bunch of other accounts that aren't from devices that you purchased from the company and subscriptions that you're making through the company, all using APNS, that's another aspect of it. And then the other company's making money off of something that Apple is then losing money on.
It was never going to fly.
No.
Apple is going to do RCS. I believe them when they say they're going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
That's the rich communication service that Google has been promoting. It's not a Google tool. They did buy the company that kind of provides a back end for it, but phone companies can have their own RCS server. So it's an open standard. And once Apple supports that, you won't be able to be a blue bubble unless you have an iPhone. You'll still be a green bubble, but it'll have secure messaging with many of the features of Apple's messages with Android folks. And it'll interoperate with Google's own messages or Samsung's messages. So I think that's really a good solution that everybody should be satisfied with. All right. Here's an interesting one. You know Cameo?
I do. Yeah. I've actually purchased one in the past.
Yeah, I have too. Your favorite person from The Office, the woman who set her hair on fire. What's her name?
Meredith, but I can't think of her name.
She's on there. So is Frodo.
Oh, Frodo.
Elijah Wood.
I'm sure that's a very expensive one.
So are other people like Hank from Breaking Bad, the DEA guy. Turns out Russian propaganda operation, a troll factory, used Cameo to get those celebrities and others
oh dear
to record a cameo that implied that Zelensky, the President Zelensky of Ukraine, had a drug problem with his rehab. They didn't say it outright, but they said the sentences that the bad guys needed to edit together.
To put it together.
Yes.
Okay.
In one of the videos, a crudely edited message by Elijah Wood, Frodo, to someone named Vladimir references drugs and alcohol, saying, "I just want to make sure that you're getting help."
Oh, no.
Of course, Elijah Wood thought it was like legit. And, he also got $180. So Mike Tyson did it. Dean Norris is Hank from Breaking Bad. John C. McGinley of Scrubs. And Kate Flannery.
Kate Flannery, that's right.
Of The Office. Priscilla Presley did one. A representative for Priscilla Presley said her video had been submitted through Cameo, but it was not intended to be addressed to Zelensky or have anything at all to do with the Russia-Ukraine war.
Well, yes, we realize that.
Of course not. So I just thought that was a kind of funny little hack.
It makes you wonder, how these stars are going to look at future cameos.
So I was thinking of doing Cameo, but then I realized how humiliating it would be when nobody would.
Oh, yeah, if you didn't get one.
Who's
great.
This guy? What?
Oh, lovely.
So I'm not going to do that.
But now I'm thinking about the potential for what essentially would be sort of, you would, depending on your name and what you put in, you may not get the cameo that you wanted. And it just so happens that you have a name that they're all being afraid of at that moment. Does that make sense? Like, I worry about the discrimination that could be involved with that going forward, because
it's
the star
risky,
would go,
right?
Oh, I better
now that we know that this could happen, that's risky. Oh, and finally, I don't know. Did you see Google's incredible Gemini video?
This story.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Let me play a little bit of it because it's so impressive. It makes you think.
Not a common color for ducks. However, there are some breeds
the voice
of blue ducks.
is the
These
AI.
are typically not as common as other duck breeds.
And so a guy is drawing and interacting with it. Here he's doing the cup game.
The cup to the left.
And it, of course, correctly identifies. So it's going to play a game.
I know what you're doing. You're playing rock, paper, scissors.
Okay, except
what do you see?
As impressive as this was, and by the way, we watched it this week in Google, and I said, it's here.
Gasping, yeah.
It's here. AGI's here. It's over. The goodbye, humans. Maybe not so fast. Google admits, well, that was just it was imaginary.
They completely made it up.
So the rock, paper, scissors is an example. So they said, because if you just do this to an AI, it doesn't know you're playing a game. It's the peace sign, right? It doesn't know.
Depends on how you hold it.
So they actually, in the prompt, first of all of this was done in a text prompt.
It was done in a text prompt.
It wasn't done by speech.
With still frames.
With still pictures. And they said, it's a game. And they had to give it a couple of pictures before it went, oh, you're playing rock, paper, scissors. This is essentially fake.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's not, it could sort of do it if you gave it more prompts and more information and took your time and gave it stills. All it said in the YouTube video is this has been edited to compensate for latency, but Google admitted.
Which is the frustrating thing about that is the damage is already done. During the which I understand is the point, but I don't like that a large company like this did that after the fact, after the eyes were on the show and then may not hear that it was all faked, that's when they admit that it was not what it looked like.
And the voice was reading a script. When asked about the video by Bloomberg Opinion, a Google spokesperson, at least they admitted it, right? Said, yeah, we lied. No, they said using the video is made using still image frames from the footage and prompting via text. It's just not not cool, man.
No, I don't think it's cool at all.
Hey, my bad.
Oh,
my
yeah,
bad.
there it is.
Didn't want to scare you. So Google, here's the problem. Google got completely scooped by OpenAI and in effect Microsoft and freaked out. And they have been rushing ever since with Bard. And now Gemini is supposedly a new model that goes into Google's Bard. And they're desperate to show you that, oh no, we got this. And everybody is, by the way. So is Jan LeCun at Facebook. So are the guys at Apple. Everybody say, oh no, oh yeah. Because it's true that everything OpenAI does is kind of open knowledge. There have been papers, they're just using technology everybody knows, papers written, so forth. They just have been working on it longer than anybody. And these other guys kind of, leisurely were working along. It's just really annoying. And I have to say, shame on you, Google. Do you still do this?
Or is this shame.
Shame on, what does that mean? I'm rubbing my index finger across my other index finger.
Have to.
Shame
Someone will
on
tell
you.
us.
Where did that come from?
What am I scraping off?
I
my
feel like,
finger
it's
onto
probably a medieval anti-hex,
Probably.
witch hex kind of anyway, sorry I did that if it scared you. Forget it.
I know
Forget
what you're
about it.
doing. You're saying shame on me.
Shame on me.
That was Google Bard.
Was it?
Yeah.
If you do this to Google Bard, see what it says.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. All right, let's what should we do? John Ashley, boy producer. What should we do?
Maybe we should take a quick break first.
Okay. We've decided we're gonna
I thought it
How
was
old are you,
producer
John?
boy.
How old? You're in your
I
You're in
am
your 30s,
I am a number.
Oh,
he's in his 30s, I'm gonna guess. But he looks very young and boyish and cute. I'm saying this out of love, J.A. And I just also think it's pretty funny because you're like the boy wonder, Robin.
oh yeah, Rob.
Yeah, to my Superman.
All right.
Did you just say to your Superman?
Yeah, I was about to
now
say.
you're trolling.
Now,
Let's take a quick break while you all write emails to Leo about the history of superheroes.
Our show today. I took a week off and I let the Discourse, our Twit community, run without my help.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Holder, who's a great guy, has been helping out. He's moderating. But I'm so impressed how well Twit.community survived my absence. I went back in. There was great conversations going on. Community is what we do. That's what podcasting is all about. It may be important to your business too. You should take a look at the software we use and highly recommend for your community. It's called Discourse. Ask the Tech Guys is brought to you by Discourse, Discourse. It's the online home for community. John O'Bacon told me about it. I did a triangulation with him years ago. He said, "You don't have a Discourse?" I said, "No, should I?" He said, "Oh, yeah." He was absolutely right. For over a decade, Discourse has made it their mission to make the internet a better place for online communities. Discourse. It's open source. That was important to me. Trusted by more than, get this, 20,000 online communities, including some of the largest companies in the world, because it's robust, it's secure, it's reliable, and it really works. It's more than just a forum. Yes, you get the power of discussion, but you also have real-time chat. They now have AI built in, which is great for summarizing, things like that. Discourse makes it easy to have meaningful conversations, to collaborate with your community anytime, anywhere. It's been a real boon to us. If you as a business or an individual or a family or a charity or a club are ready to create a community, we're going to get you 1 month free on all self-serve plans when you go to discourse.org/twit. It's great. The basic plan is for a private invite-only community. Great for a club, an organization, a family, or just people who want to kind of talk together, right? A standard plan is available if you want unlimited members and a public presence. There's also a business plan, which is great for active customer support communities. A lot of companies use Discourse. Now that I kind of know what to look for when I see a Discourse site, I'm blown away by how many companies use Discourse for their customer support. One of the biggest advantages to creating your own community with Discourse is, of course, you own your own data. You always will have access to all your conversation history. Discourse will never sell your data to advertisers. Discourse gives you everything you need in one place. Make Discourse the online home for your community. Visit discourse.org/twit to get 1 month free on all self-serve plans. That's discourse.org/twit. Our phone number, I forgot to mention.
That's right.
Shame on my bad.
Shame on you, Leo.
Shame on me is 888-724-2884.
That is the number.
See, I remembered that after a whole
Good
month
work.
away. I remember that. You could also call.twit.tv. If you do that, that's going to be a Zoom call. We like to see your shining face. Do that on your phone. And we do get a lot of emails. In fact, I have an email from my son.
Which one?
ATG@twit.tv. You said you actually knew the answer, so you better.
Okay, that's what I thought you were talking about. Yeah. Well, then we'll answer that. Yep.
We have a little family crisis that you're going to help out with. Okay, Michael, my stepson, Lisa's son, he's just turned 21, and he wants to take control of his phone. He wants to take it back. So we'll talk about that in just a bit. So what should we do? John Ashley, who should we start with? You get to pick.
Oh, pick. Ooh, sorry. A lot of things. All right.
He's not ready.
I
Should I
was
pick up
ready.
Douglas?
I thought you were pick up.
I'm going to pick
someone.
up Douglas because his hand's up. Okay. How about that?
It's been 3 weeks since you've been on the show.
It's been 3 weeks since I've done this show. You don't remember lyrics either, do you?
Nope.
Don't remember lyrics one cotton picking bit. Douglas has his kitty cat. Maybe he doesn't still have his kitty cat.
Yeah, she ran away.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's the way it is with cats. As soon as the camera's on, it's like, oh, no, I'm sorry.
Not today.
Not today. But
that was our newest kitten, Loki.
Oh, Loki.
Oh, Loki.
Oh, are all your
named-
cats named after Marvel comic universe characters?
Or
No,
Norse
we have
deities.
we have Starbuck,
Oh, from
Oh.
Battlestar Galactica, yeah.
Chewie,
Chewie from Star Wars, yeah.
and Linux.
I don't know where that comes from.
Linux.
I love it. The nerdy cat names. Those are very
Yeah,
good.
she was a black and white tuxedo stray that we caught, and as soon as I saw her, I named her Linux.
Both
She's
our
got a
cats are
She's
tuxedos.
got a little flame on her forehead.
Oh,
Mike has seen her on the
Yep.
on
One of the
on
days, yeah.
iOS today.
nice.
Oh,
She's
yeah, that's
gonna-
right.
she's gonna-
Yeah.
The pet tax.
That's right.
She's the one She was the one who would sit up for the treats.
Yes. Okay. That's wonderful.
So
Well, as we know, Linux performs beautifully. So what can we do for you,
Zing.
Douglas?
yeah, somebody wanted to know what the definition of an open source cat is. I said she'll eat anything.
I love
So-
it.
She's 10 now, and she's gone from being a frail little 2-pound kitten that we found to being a fat princess. So
So now she's desktop Linux.
yeah, as I said, she's a princess, not a queen, because she.
And you spoiled her.
Yeah, I've spoiled her. My son said because she doesn't. Queens have jobs, so
Oh, I
yeah.
see. Yeah, but the princess
Anyway,
just hangs out.
Dogs have
So
dogs have masters. Cats have servants.
Mhm.
certain
Yeah.
cats have staff.
Staff.
So I actually had 2 questions. One of which I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to answer, but
Oh.
I'm trying to log into a Gmail account, an old Gmail account. Matter of fact, it's so old that I bought the invite on eBay.
Oh, I remember those days. Yeah.
So
How much did you pay? Just out of curiosity, you remember?
I think $5.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to log in. I got the password right, but then it comes to a sign where it says, we're going to text you a code.
Right.
And it's got the right number, but I never get the code.
So it has you recognize the number that it says it's going to send it to. And
Yeah, the last 2
it's-
digits are right. So
Okay.
There are other recovery processes.
yeah, I've tried that. It doesn't really matter. It's nothing I really ever use.
Yeah, but I
So,
understand. So very important when you have a Gmail account or any Google account that you give it the recovery, a number of recovery methods. Usually
Yeah.
an email that's not that Gmail address is good. And also a phone number. And of course, I hear this a lot, which at least you still have the phone number. A lot of people go,
Yeah.
well, that was 10 years ago. I don't still have that phone number.
There are a couple of things that I would do. First, I would check to see if you have whatever your carrier is, go to your carrier's website and see if you've got some sort of spam blocking or other sorts of protection. Sometimes those can be enabled automatically as well. Every once in a while, what happens is a service will be reported as spam and then it's not. And then the company ends up blocking it. Highly unlikely because this is Google, but just in case. Also, depending on what device you're using, make sure that you're not using some sort of SMS filtering system, an app or something that you've set up.
It's an iPhone.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. If you've got RoboKiller or Haya or any of those will sometimes block those numbers by accident. And then the other thing I'm curious about is depending on whether this was a business account or a personal account and whether or not you've done anything on the account in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I have it.
You have or have not?
Have not.
Okay. So on Friday, as actually 2 weeks ago now, 2 Fridays ago, Google started removing accounts that had not been used in 2 years.
Oh, do you think that's what happened?
That's one of the reasons why I was
that you
trying
were
to
wondering?
log in.
Right.
Yeah, that started on 2 Fridays ago. What's interesting though is that you are getting pushed forward in the process. So I don't think that the account is gone, given that it's
Okay.
getting you
Yeah.
to that point. But
It would
that's
just say,
something-
"Who are you?"
Yeah, it'd say,
Yeah.
this isn't a
Yeah.
login. The thing is that Google said that they are not allowing those, emails to be used at all anymore once they're shut down.
Which is fair because you don't want somebody
else doing it. So in that way, would it necessarily say, oh, this isn't an account that you can't register? So anyway, those are a bunch of different things that you can try, with the last one just being an awareness that maybe the account has been deleted and it hasn't, sort of gone all the way through the process. Like it's in process of being removed.
Right.
Okay. And I have something to show you.
Okie dokie.
2 weeks or a couple weeks ago, I went to the Vintage Computer Festival flea market.
Oh, look at all those Commodores. Holy cow.
And
did you buy one?
No.
Good.
There was a lot of stuff for sale, though, because there was a bunch of Apple IIs, even an Atari 400 down there.
Probably from a school. Oh, I would have bought the 400. That was my first computer. Wow, look at that.
That runs on AA batteries, I think.
Oh, that is the Model 100. That is very famous. Yeah, I had a Model 100. Those are great computers. That's the Radio Shack Model 100, used by sports writers all over America during it was the first kind of portable.
This was their table of people selling all sorts of computer parts.
Wow. Oh, where is this? I want to go.
This was in New Jersey.
Wow, this looks like the MIT flea market. This looks spectacular.
They hold this twice a year. This was the Vintage Computer Federation.
That'd be worth flying out to go to.
It's basically like a whole parking lot was full of stuff.
Holy camole.
What is that thing?
It's a 3Com Audrey.
That was the kitchen computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it belongs in an emergency room.
Yeah, it was designed. It was a silly idea that never flew, but frankly, these are classics. What is that?
Oh, that's so
This is an Atari Portfolio.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
It's actually a 386 computer.
Right.
So I looked it up when I got home.
Yeah, the Portfolio. Wow. That's kind of amazing.
Some books like 6502 Professional Development System, Controlling Things by Timex Sinclair.
Somebody's clear. So it's either a widow clearing out her basement, or somebody who really has saved all these years. I mean, that Atari 400 is it's more than 40 years old. So somebody's had it all that time and finally got rid of it. I might fly out to New Jersey when's the next one? I want to see that.
I don't know. You have to check their website, VCF. Wow.
They're cool.
They're having a weekend thing in April, I think, where they have people come in and present and they demo all their stuff. Like they have all these different computers.
That is so neat.
I have to tell a story. I was at a local big garage sale, huge garage sale for charity, and sitting in a box in the electronics section, still in its foam, still all wrapped in plastic, was a Coleco computer.
The Coleco used something they called, it was a cassette tape, but they called it a stringy floppy.
This wasn't the Coleco game. This was the Coleco Atom.
Oh, the Atom. Yeah. ADAM. Yeah. That did not sell well at all.
It was all still in the original boxes with the plastic and everything. And I walked by it thinking, what am I going to do with that? The guy behind me grabbed it. He wound up paying $15 for it.
Wow. I mean, that's
eBay,
the problem.
They're worth $300.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. I guess if you were, eBay adept, you could buy all this stuff and sell it to hardcore.
Well, the following year, I was smart enough. There was a box that had a flight yoke and pedals in it.
Oh, now that I
grabbed them.
Yeah.
And I brought them home. I paid $10 for them. I brought them home and I looked them up to get the drivers for them and found out they were worth almost $400.
Wow.
Yeah, they're probably not USB. They might be like PS2 or serial.
No, they are USB.
They were.
USB.
Oh, well, that's really, you got a good deal. Yeah.
Wow. So the other thing I was going to share with you was I heard you talking on This Week in Google about, you're talking about Starlink, and you were talking about the fact that you pay $60 for fiber internet. Well, it's not the same everywhere, Leo.
Huh?
It's not the same everywhere.
No, I know. How much do you pay?
My internet service provider was charging me for a 300 meg connection $235.
Oof.
Yeah,
which is 3 times the national average.
That's outrageous. Who's the provider? Is it Cablevision?
Optimum Online.
Optimum. Ugh.
So I called them up and complained, and they immediately lowered it to $90.
You were paying the historic rate for suckers.
I hate that.
Yeah, well, I've also told them there's another internet company that's been building out up
That's
here in
the
Sussex
key.
County.
Competition is the key. Yeah.
They're waiting to get permission from Verizon to use the poles.
Yeah.
And I suspect they said Verizon has been dragging their feet.
Of course they have.
They charge $110 a month for 1 gig internet.
We've talked a lot.
They're getting ready to roll out. What's that?
We've talked a lot with our friend from SonicNet. We use Sonic. And by the way, he has a license plate that says Linux. So you two should get together. But Dane, Dane Jasper has told us that's the biggest problem is getting access to the polls because the telcos, that you're the natural competition. He actually, in our town, has been laying fiber underground. They dug to you, John. They dug a trench. When we got fiber at the old place, they dug a trench because they can't get on the poles.
Yeah, they've been doing that here. They have a ditch witch.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is that Verizon doesn't really offer internet in our town. Verizon has stopped rolling out.
Someday they might.
No, they aren't. They offer DSL. That's it.
Yeah, someday Verizon they might. That's their thinking. We don't want any competition just in case.
Yeah.
Plus, you might have to. We might not be able to charge as much for our crappy DSL if you can get $60 fiber.
So I don't know if I want you on my pole.
Yeah.
But they said Verizon has said that they're not going to roll out FiOS anymore in New Jersey because New Jersey has refused to pass laws against
community internet. Yep.
So, but I had to call, just tell people if you're not happy with your rate, call up. I didn't even have to threaten to leave, and they lowered my rate.
Always do that.
I've already told this other company, Planet Networks, that I will have beer and cookies for the guys that come to do my installation.
You bet.
And they can put a sign on my lawn anytime they please.
Douglas, I appreciate it. I agree with you. This is a huge problem in this country.
Beer and cookies when they come here.
Beer and cookies.
Install for me.
The breakfast of champions.
I lost your audio.
Oh, sorry. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Douglas.
Bye. I don't know what happened. This is a huge problem, and the FCC has to do something about this. Mm-hmm. And they have, there's a national broadband plan. They've been moving along. They really need to. The problem is with the lack of competition, these monopolies like Verizon, like Comcast, will continue to overcharge us for internet. And especially because they're losing the TV business because people are no longer watching their cable, they're streaming. They need to make up the revenue by increasing the cost of your internet. That's not okay. And so we got to fight that. Sonic, if you can get it, is incredible. Sonic.net. And they are, I've talked to Jane. He says we can make money at $60 for gigabit. That's gigabit down, not gigabit up. It's not symmetric. But I can't remember what it is up. What do you get up, John?
It's symmetric.
It is symmetric? You get symmetric for 60?
Yeah, 1 gig up now.
Wow. So John, who lives in Petaluma, gets 60 gig up and down for $60. He says we can make money at that. That is a viable price if enough people in a neighborhood that we trench out to subscribe. So get your neighbors together. Sonic is mostly in California, but or the West Coast. But I think your town probably has somebody like that, like Planet, that's kind of thinking about this. If you can get enough people to sign up, it shouldn't cost much. It's not an expensive proposition. The infrastructure is. So that's why they have to get enough subscribers coming in month after month to pay back the cost of doing that. Coming up in a little bit, Scott Wilkinson, our home theater geek. We're going to have a visit from Sam Abuelsamid. Mm-hmm. He's our car guy. I should address something before we go to Scott. I know some of you have read our blog post on the Twit site. And if you're not sitting down, please sit down. I don't want to shock anybody. We've been telling you for some time that finances are tough. This is true across the podcast industry. Spotify's had its third layoff this year, 1,500 more. Spotify people are gone. Most of their podcast effort is gone. They've closed down many podcasts. The Gimlet network is gone. WNYC has pulled back from podcasts. A lot of the companies that really thought podcasting was the future of audio entertainment have had to contract, as have we. And a lot of it is because there's so many podcasts that listenership is down. We've diluted the audience. That's fine. That's great. But the other side of it is that advertisers no longer are willing to spend money if they can't track you. And the nature of podcasting is that we can't really tell anything about you. That's why we do our yearly survey. Spotify, the reason Joe Rogan gets so much money is because he's exclusive on Spotify, which means you can only listen to him on Spotify. And of course, that means with the app, and the app tracks you. The app knows everything that, that's always been that way. They have your credit card number if you're a customer, and they know you. And so advertisers, they want to know, well, who's listening, how many listens, when did they stop, when did they begin? They want all that information we cannot provide and won't provide. But Spotify can give you, Google can give you. A lot of companies are willing to spy on you. And advertisers, rightly or wrongly, say, why are we spending money? Twit's expensive. Why are we spending money on Twit where we don't get that information, and we can go to Spotify and get that information, or go to Google and get that information, or Facebook and get that information? So it's been really, really hard this year to sell advertising. We've lowered our prices. We've changed how we do the ads. We've kind of bowed to pressure from ad agencies, but it's still not enough. Lisa and I sat down last week, and we looked at our projections for 2024, and we were $1.1 million in the hole. Now, that's a problem because we don't have investors. We don't have a big bank account. We don't have any way to make up $1.1 million. So with great sadness, I don't like to do it, we're going to be canceling shows, and we had to lay off 3 of our most beloved staff members. And even then, by the way, that doesn't get to the 1.1 million. So I'm going to tell you the second half of that. So, but we have to do it. We couldn't make them work for free, as much as I'd like to. You want to get paid, right?
Right. Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
I don't get it. You know what? Can I tell you something? Lisa and I did not get paid many months this year. This is a business owner. That's normal, because that means we broke even. But we can't lose money. So I'm sad to say, if you haven't heard this, and I apologize if it's a bit of a shock, we've had to lay off Jason Howell. Love Jason so much. He's been with us for 13 years. So it broke my heart. It was very hard. We had to lay off Ant Pruitt. I love Ant. 5 years. Broke my heart. And somebody you may not know, you might have heard his name, Victor Bognot, one of our great editors, been with us for a decade. So we had to lay those 3 off. We took care of them, I promise you. We did the best we could. All 3 were very gracious. They understood that we had no choice. Jason's already kind of, he's going to go over to the Android Faithful podcast that his fellow All About Android hosts went to, Ron Richards and Win Tu Dao went to. He's going to do some other stuff. I think we're going to hear a lot from Jason. His Patreon is up and running and all of that. Ant, same thing, antpruitt.com. If you go there, he's got his prints. He's got lots of plans for the future. Same with Victor. These guys, I hope we'll see it as an opportunity. If you get laid off, it's hard, especially this time of year. It happens this time of year often because that's the end of the fiscal year. And that's when we finally know, there's no hope. The last straw was we were unable to sell the yearly naming rights we sold to ACI Learning this year. And losing that meant we're going to be in a deep hole. So that helps a little bit. We have some show cancellations, which we'll announce next week. But really, we need to double the size of the club to continue. And I want to keep doing what we're doing. I love you, Mikah. We're going to keep Mikah, of course, and we're going to keep this show as best we can. This show was on the chopping block. I hate to say it. I made a strong case for Lisa. I stamped my feet and cried. And we're going to keep doing it. But it's going to take you to make up the difference. So if you're not yet a member of Club Twit, please, I know not everybody can afford it. That's fine. We will continue to offer ad-supported versions of all of our shows as long as we can. But we are going to have to move some shows into the club. The club, $7 a month, gets you ad-free versions of the shows, gets you additional shows we don't put out in public. It also gets you access to the Club Twit Discord. All of this stuff is, I think, a great benefit, but really the main reason to do it is because you want to hear us continue with our shows and, Twit and Security Now and MacBreak Weekly, This Week in Google, Tech News Weekly, Ask the Tech Guys. And I can't go through all of them, but we want to keep doing these. We think they're important. If you agree, please go to twit.tv/clubtwit. I'm not a beggar. I don't want to beg. If you can't, no problem. Right now, it's just a little bit more than 1% of our audience. If we got to 5% of our audience, that would solve our financial problem.
Tell others about it too, right?
Yeah, buy it for a Christmas gift.
Yeah, get it for somebody else.
I know everybody's getting, paper cut to death with subscriptions, but and if you can't do it and don't want to do it, that's fine. I understand. But there is a consequence in which would be very sad if we had to stop doing the shows. So we want to keep doing it. So thank you. Sorry to do that downer. And by the way, I've been in touch with all three of our wonderful employees, and there's a blog post in which I talk about their accomplishments, and I hope they are going to do great. They all three have invites to come back anytime. They can use their office if they need a printer or a Xerox machine or whatever. But I can't ask them to work for free. I really can't, and I don't think they want to. So that's the story. So thank you, Club Twit members, and yes, thank you, Jason and Victor and Ant. I gave Ant such a big hug. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. It really does. All right. On that bright note, should I welcome in our wonderful Scott Wilkinson? Yeah. All right. Scott Wilkinson is here. He is our home theater geek. He also hosts another great club exclusive, the Home Theater Geeks podcast. When we were fat and happy, we did a lot of shows. One of them was Home Theater Geeks. We had to cancel it. But because of the club, we were able to bring it back. And frankly, I'd like to do more of that. But it's really up to club members. Scott, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, ho, ho, ho.
Scott.
How did Tuba Christmas go?
Tuba Christmas went great.
Wonderful.
We had 100 tubas. We had 800 people in the audience.
Oh, that's great. What a great showing. Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, it really was.
I was a little worried that without the radio show to promote it, it might not get the word out in the Southland, but that sounds good. You got a good show.
We did.
That's
I do a lot of PR.
Oh, I know.
Sorry?
I said that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was really great. We had the group of 12 professionals who do, very sophisticated, really nice, interesting arrangements. And the big group, of course, played. My wife was the song leader. Everybody in the audience sings along with the main Christmas carols. So it was a family affair for sure.
Yay, Scotty.
That's awesome.
So tell me, dear, what's up in the worlds of AV and hi-fi? Nobody still calls it hi-fi, do they?
No, nobody still calls it hi-fi. No.
That dates you if you say, hey, how's your hi-fi?
Yeah, right. Well, I actually, I got a question from some friends of mine here in town, in the lovely town of Santa Cruz, who came to me and said, you know what? We're paying $190 a month for our cable, AT&T Uverse. Is there anything lower cost that I can do? Well, yes, there is. Leo, as you know, I think you're a YouTube TV subscriber.
I am. I love YouTube TV. I even bought the NFL Sunday ticket package.
That is an extra. Yeah.
It was like $300, but
yeah.
Because of it, it's less now because the season's almost over. But because of it, because Michael likes to watch the Packers. He's a Packers fan. And that was the only way we could out of market see every Packers game. But it's great too, because Lisa's an NFL fan, so she likes to be able to pick which game she's going to watch.
So if you're an NFL fan, and that's probably worth the money.
Plus, I have to say, yeah. And they have other things you can buy. I have to say the quality, I think, of the NFL on YouTube TV is quite good. Yeah. Same thing with Amazon on Thursday Night Football. These streamers are doing higher quality than your broadcasters were.
Often, that's true. Yes, especially cable. I mean, over the air. If you can get the game over the air,
you might get HD versions of the game over the air. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, well, these streamers will do HD. In fact, YouTube is one of the only ones that does some 4K content. If you spend some extra money, and I don't recall whether the NFL package gives you any 4K. I seem to recall it does. Am I right?
Yeah. So it's an additional, I think, $20 a month.
$20 a month. Yeah.
So that's YouTube TV. So, and I subscribed when the Olympics were on 2 years ago, the Winter Olympics. because I want to see it in 4K. There's very little 4K programming.
Right.
So it's probably not worth the money I spent. There's occasionally the Amazon Prime is recorded in 1080p 60, which is pretty darn good.
Pretty darn good.
And if you can get that stream, that actually looks noticeably better than the 720p you might be getting from other streamers like ESPN.
Right, exactly.
And I guess I don't know if I guess you can't get it on broadcast alone, right? Because it's Amazon Prime.
Well, right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So it looks good. And occasionally it seems like the baseball playoffs were, I don't know if they were 4K. They might have been. I think some of them were 4K. They looked really good. It's noticeable on a 4K OLED TV.
Exactly.
It's noticeable.
Exactly.
That's the point.
I'm sure that's true. In addition to the 4K content for $20 a month extra, though, you also get unlimited simultaneous streams. With the regular package, which is $73 a month, less than half of what my friends are paying for their AT&T Uverse, you get 3 simultaneous streams. So, somebody in one room can be watching something, somebody in the other room can be watching something else, up to 3. You spend that extra $20 a month, you get unlimited, and you can get offline DVR downloads. YouTube TV, of course, like many of these, offer a cloud-based DVR. So if you're watching live TV, you can record. If you can't see it when it's on, you can record it and watch it later. And with YouTube TV, with this extra $20 a month, you can download it into a local device and play it, when you're on a plane.
Oh, I didn't realize that. You can do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
I'm liking the YouTube TV package, or live TV. And we're talking live TV. All these services also offer lots of video on demand, obviously.
I should mention that our Discord Out of Sync says YouTube TV lowered the price of 4K to $10 a month.
Oh,
so that's
very good.
And I think that was right, because 20 is really
That's
too much.
a lot.
That's a little much.
I think 10, maybe people might consider it if you have a 4K TV. The problem is the lack of 4K content.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. The other one that I was particularly happy with was Hulu Plus Live TV.
Yeah, that's, I would love you to do some research on which has the best streaming quality. I have heard, I think I read it on Reddit, that Hulu Plus did, that it was the best quality.
That's a great idea. I will do that. I will, it's going to be subjective. I suppose I could do some measuring, but really more to the point is taking a look at it and saying, oh yeah, that does look better.
Does Sling still do, I think Sling still does live streams, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
So you've got YouTube, you've got Sling, you've got Hulu.
Right. You've got DirecTV Stream.
DirecTV, okay.
Which is, they have 4 packages and they're pretty expensive. The highest package with 150 live channels is $165 a month.
Is that over the internet or is that from the satellite?
No, it's all
streaming over the
based.
internet. Okay. Yeah, Vladdy9 in our IRC says he believes DirecTV has the best stream quality. So that's worth looking at these.
It is worth looking at. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Sling, as they have for a long time, have 2 packages called Blue and Orange. And they're all, both of those are, let's see, I think $40 a month for either one, or $55 a month for both. And you get some live channels, not nearly as many as Hulu or YouTube or DirecTV. And it doesn't say anything about local channels. Here's another thing to consider is, does your streaming service provide you with your local area channels? So if you like to watch the local news, which I do, Central Coast, California local news, you want to make sure that the service that you select provides it.
I'm nothing without KSBW. I've got to get my channel 44 on.
That's right. That's right.
It's not just local news. There is other stuff that your locals carry, including network programming that you may not be able to see otherwise.
Correct.
So I think now YouTube TV has locals in almost all markets, I think.
They do.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Hulu does as well.
Yeah.
And I believe DirecTV does as well. But Sling does not. At least I didn't see anything about it on their website.
Yeah. In fact, you've seen the ads for Hulu Hulu plus live TV, they really understand that people want those locals. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Another thing to consider is that all of these services, each one of them doesn't carry certain channels. And so what I recommended to my friend was that she list all the channels that they like to watch and then go to each website and see which are the channels that they don't carry. For example, Hulu does not carry AMC or BBC America. I like watching BBC America.
It's so hard because, and we were just talking about getting subscription paper cut to death.
Yes. There is that
it
too.
Seems like there's so many streaming channels and you have to pay for each one, although they are kind of shrinking now, right? Max has absorbed Discovery. Disney just bought Hulu outright. So there's Disney and Hulu are going to merge. It's interesting. I guess we're getting, you know what's happening? We disaggregated and now we're reaggregating everything.
Reaggregating. Yes, exactly.
It's very hard to watch TV these days. If you don't know where something is, you have to search for it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I've often dreamed of some service, some app or something that would, you type in what you want to watch and it'll tell you everywhere it's available.
It's still the case that if you can get an antenna and get live locals, that's the best quality, best way, and it's free.
And it's free.
You get the equipment to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly right. There are even some antenna over-the-air DVRs you can buy.
Like Channel Master or Silicon Dust's HD Home Run. Yeah, there's definitely ways to get all of the conveniences. Channels is an app that Jason Snell was recommending on MacBreak Weekly this week. He uses it in conjunction with a device to get either locals or cable, and it basically becomes a DVR that you can then stream everywhere, not only throughout the house, but even for yourself as you're traveling.
So it's cloud DVR.
Kind of, sort of. Getchannels.com. It's local software that you run. It's not cloud. It's local software that you run on your own machine, but then you have basically your own personal cloud.
Oh, okay.
Channels looks pretty cool. A number of people use it. It's like Plex a little bit. So a lot of people, and Jason loves this. And you can use your existing provider. So if you have YouTube TV, for instance, you can then connect it to this software on one of your machines and then have TV.
What's it called again?
Channels at getchannels.com.
Okay. All right. I had not heard of that
Works
before.
Works with the HD Home Run as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a good solution.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We're in this. It's always a problem. And we've seen this so many times in technology and the internet. There's an interregnum between the old way that we all were used to and the new way. And in that period, there's always disruption and craziness, and it's inconvenient and weird, and it changes by the minute. And we're in that period right now.
Right. We are. Yeah. And on these streaming packages, streaming channels, channels come and go depending on contracts and so on, so that it's in flux. You don't know for sure that you're always going to get this channel. It may disappear.
Right.
And that's frustrating.
So when it comes to broadcast, I've recommended in the past a site called TV Fool, tvfool.com, which will tell you whether you can get your locals and what kind of antenna you would need, what the signal strength is and so forth.
Oh,
this is very useful.
I've used Antenna Web for
and
that.
Antenna Web's a great one as well. Yep. TV Fool, it really is just to show you the coverage maps, which is very useful. And then apparently there's a YouTuber, Antenna Man. Quippy is telling us in our Discord, Antenna Man on YouTube, who will help you with the best outdoor antenna recommendations. Everybody's got to be. It's got to be on YouTube these days for the Utes. Right. They don't do this internet.
The Utes.
The Utes want the YouTube. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Scott Wilkinson, how do you have a website? Is there something I can plug?
How very nice of you. I appreciate it. Actually, I don't have my own website. I should, of course.
You're so old-fashioned.
I know.
Oh, well, we know you're going to be here, and that's the main.
Well, I'm going to be here. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm also on AVS Forum.
AVS Forum.
I do my monthly home theater of the month on AVS Forum, and those are always really fun.
I love that. That's a great feature. Well, we'll talk about your home theater of the month next month. How about that?
There you go.
How about that?
That sounds great.
And of course, club members know that you can catch Home Theater Geeks inside Club Twit. Thank you, Scott Wilkinson.
Much, Scott.
My pleasure.
Have a good
Happy holidays to everybody.
Oh,
happy holidays.
I guess we won't see you till after the holidays.
We won't.
Merry Christmas, Santa. I know you're going to be busy
I'm going to be
in the next couple of weeks, so we won't bother Santa.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. He's got a
thanks,
job
you guys.
to do. Take care, Scott.
Bye-bye.
He's got a little work ahead of him. All right, we're going to continue on with the calls in just a moment. But before we do, we love our sponsors, and I do want to thank ACI Learning, who all year long has been a studio sponsor for us at Twit. We love you guys. And, we've known them forever because you may remember IT Pro TV. IT Pro TV merged with ACI Learning, and in the process, totally expanded their capabilities. So they have audit now. They have cybersecurity and, of course, IT training, as they've always had. I know you know the name IT Pro TV from our network. Now, as part of ACI Learning, IT Pro has expanded its capabilities, providing more support, especially for IT teams. It's a great way for individuals to get a job in IT, but ACI Learning is also a great way to keep your team up to date and working hard. And it's a great benefit for IT teams. They love the learning at ACI. ACI keeps all its courses current. They cover every area, including Microsoft Cloud, AWS, CompTIA. IT teams significantly benefit from IT Pro. ACI Learning kept all of the fun and all the personality that IT Pro TV was famous for, but have amplified those robust solutions to cover all your training needs. It's entertaining, it's informative, it's engaging. That's why IT teams love it and why it works so well. The content is short form, 20 to 30 minutes, and there are over 7,200 hours of content to choose from. And it's all fresh because they're cranking out, well, that's a bad way to put it. They're working hard to produce high quality content Monday through Friday in their 7 studios. The audience asked, ACI has delivered just in time to wrap up your annual CPE. ACI is re-releasing their entire audit catalog. And now in shorter, easier to digest versions, which means your CPE exams for each course will be faster too. Check out the new audit courses and lab releases this month, including Certified Information Systems Auditor and CompTIA's very popular Security Plus. You'll get the full scoop on how ACI can help you navigate the audit world by visiting acilearning.com/blog. Lots of articles there to explain what they have, what their offerings are, and how they can help you. IT Pro TV, now ACI Learning, keeps your business from risking redundancy with the most up-to-date certifications and courses available. Provides you with a personal account manager. Make sure you're not wasting anyone's time. Your account manager works with you to ensure your team only focuses on the skills that matter to your organization so you can leave unnecessary training behind. And of course, it's ISO certified, so you know you're getting the world-class training your team deserves. Keep your IT team skills up to date with the speed of technology by visiting go.acilearning.com/twit. Twit listeners, you can get a free trial. And by the way, discounts are phenomenal, up to 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. The discount is based on the size of your team. So fill out the form. Find out how much you can save at go.acilearning.com/twit. Happy holidays, ACI Learning. Thank you so much for your support all year long. We really appreciate it. All right.
Shall we do the email?
Should I? Oh, the email.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have it in writing.
No, I have it.
Okay. This email comes from somebody important.
Yes. So here's the question. My son is on our family Apple account for apps, etc., and he wants to pay for his future purchases. Leo tried to set up his credit card in our family account and it's not working, meaning Michael cannot see it as an option for payment. Therefore, how do we keep Michael on our family account while allowing him to make his own Apple purchases using his own credit card? This is a really good question, and what's a wild coincidence is quite literally, I had just been asked by a family member this same question earlier in the day. So
Lisa said, because I tried and it was grayed out. So on his phone, I couldn't add his credit card.
Yep.
And I said, you can't do it. And Lisa said, well, I'm going to ask Mikah. I said, Mikah won't know. You can't do it. You know.
I do know. So
should have known.
Here's the thing, though. It's not a solution that everyone's going to love because Apple. Okay, I feel that Apple with the family sharing stuff should take things just a little bit further and make them a little bit more adjustable, but they don't. So here's what happens. I have this pulled up on AirPlay 1 whenever you can show. So on your iPhone, you, I assume, Leo, are the family.
I'm the administrator.
Sharer. Yeah.
So let me follow along with you.
Yeah. So you would tap on family.
Okay.
So we went into the settings app. We tapped on family.
Yeah, I'm looking at my family. There's Michael.
Yeah, you see
He's
the
an
different
adult.
family members.
Yep.
He's an adult.
Yep.
Down at the bottom.
Yep. Family checklist.
Below that, you'll see
purchase sharing.
Purchase sharing. Now, here's what it is. In order for an individual to be able to make their own purchases, purchase sharing has to be turned off for the whole family.
I have to stop it for everybody.
You have to stop it for everybody. Then, immediately, Michael will see in his own settings the ability to add his
the
card.
funny thing is, and you can look at this, there's nothing secret in here. The funny thing is, Michael's not sharing. I'm not sharing with Michael.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the only person I'm sharing with is my wife, Lisa.
What do you mean when you say sharing?
Well, it says sharing their purchase. Oh, they're not sharing with me.
It means that they have no purchases.
But
they
I
made
am
themselves.
sharing with
You're
them.
sharing your purchases.
Well, the son of a gun, if he's not sharing with me, I'm turning off purchase sharing.
Well,
do I have to leave it off?
Up to this point, though, he's not made any purchases.
Right.
So
it's all been in my account.
It's all been yours. So that's why there aren't any purchases.
So I'm going to stop it.
You would stop it. So
can I turn it on again after he adds his credit card?
That is something that we did not test. That's actually
I'm going to do it anyway. So here's the button.
What I know for sure
over the shoulder, there it
is that turning it off makes it so that, yes, he can add his own card. Now, what I'm not sure of is if you turn it back on, if his card will stay. All I know is that once it's off, then everybody can make their own purchases who are members of the family.
I'm trying to get why Apple does this. They figure, since you're all on this, when a family members are all on the same credit card, sharing purchases is no big deal.
And I think that what this does is it discourages friends from getting together as much. You know what I mean? Like if you have a group of friends who you want to do it with, but when it's family, then it's like, oh yeah, we'll do this. We'll turn on purchase sharing. It's great.
So I've turned off purchase sharing. Mm-hmm. And now when I go to it, it says, well, here's, sharing payment methods, blah, 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 blah.
And importantly, everybody should know, all of your subscriptions that are family sharing subscriptions, those still sync.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, all of the movies that you've purchased.
Oh, thank God.
Those kinds of things are still syncable. It's just the purchases specifically that you make in the App Store. So location stuff still happens.
So stuff for the future.
Yeah, so all of the rest of that, and like if you have a
because
home
I've already
and
paid
all that kind of stuff, exactly. That's still going to happen. It's just the purchase sharing going forward. Those purchases that they buy on their own will be theirs and not yours, and vice versa. So I have purchase sharing turned off because my family that I've set up is it's a couple family members and my partner, and everybody wants to make their own purchases anyway. But I have all of the rest of the features turned on. But yes, if a family has purchase sharing turned on, then that is the only way to make purchases, except if you wanted to use, and this is the potential other way of doing it, in the App Store is the account balance, your Apple ID account balance. And so you could add money to that and then use that as a means of making purchases, but it's an extra step that's not really necessary for someone like Michael who has a card that he would like to use on his own.
Yeah, he has a job. He's gainfully employed and he's 21. So I don't want to pay for his red fish, blue fish, go fish
exactly.
anymore. Yeah.
And so now all Michael needs to do is, and I won't go into this because then it'll show a bunch of stuff, but you can show my settings page here. You would just Michael would tap on his name at the top. And once he taps
there's
on
a place to add a credit card.
Then he can add it under purchases.
Yeah. And that was what was weird because we went there and it had my credit card and then it said add a credit card. there was a button for it. And I kept tapping it. Nothing happened.
It wouldn't work.
It's disabled. But they don't say why
they
or what's going on.
That is frustrating.
And so it's a little confusing. Boy, you are a champion. I just texted Michael. And by the way, I have to say, I just texted Michael, and it's good I did, because when I opened my text messages, I got a very important message that said, my U.S. Postal Service package has arrived at the warehouse and can't be delivered due to incomplete address information. So it sent me a link to confirm my address. And you know, it's interesting. The post office would be using the account JA8T8 Romero at Outlook.com.
That is a little
That seems
weird.
like an odd address
that
for the
must
Postal
be
Service
a Postal
to be
Service
using.
worker, maybe?
Yes. It says, please reply Y, then exit the test message and open it again to activate the link.
Oh, my word.
Oh, see, they're going to send me a different link, aren't they?
Yes, and this is how they skirt around Apple's built-in protections because Apple has a thing that can, if you have it set up, the what is it? It's like a scanning type thing, and it can find those bad messages.
If I click this link now, it'll know it's a bad site. Oh, and you know how I know it's not the Postal Service? Besides the fact that it's from J8T8 Romero at Outlook.com, the USPS team wishes you a wonderful day. See, I don't I don't think that's true. No, I love we love our mail carrier. She's great. Love her a lot. I'm just being silly.
And by the way, just so everybody knows how that plays out, what's wild is they almost can get you, because if you go to it, they will tell you, oh, it's just $2.99 to deliver the package. Basically, they say,
oh, they just
it
wanting
costs
money.
more than it should need to be. And you go, oh, $2.99, that's not bad. But you've just typed in your credit card information into the website to pay the $2.99.
Oh.
Now they have your information and they can use that.
So I'll show you what I'm going to do to respond to this. There's a delete, right? I'm going to delete it, but then I'm not only going to delete it, but I'm going to delete it and report junk.
There you go.
Because that'll take care of that. It's gone. And presumably Apple will then block JA8T8 Romero or whatever.
Yes.
And
never
sending any more messages.
If you have a third-party service that is using the SMS reporting functionality in your settings, it will also report it to that.
Oh, it does. Oh, that's nice. So the only reason I brought that up, besides the fact that I just received it, is I know many of you, especially in the holiday season, are getting these. And you're smart because you watch this show, so we know you're smart. But your family members aren't. Mm-hmm. And they may not, and they may go, oh, wait a minute, I could see my mom falling for that in a heartbeat, right? Especially the elderly family members. So really help them out and let them know. Don't be doing that. Don't be clicking links in text messages, period, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
Unless they're from me. No.
Unless they're from Leo8 at Outlook.com.
Oh, God.
Now, we did an ad. We did a warning. I think we should take a call.
There's a couple of people who actually called in over the phone that we should.
I like phone calls.
888-724-2884.
And I think there's someone from Bakersfield.
All right, let's go to Bakersfield. Ladies and gentlemen, and say hello to our caller who may or may not be from Bakersfield. Because as you know, caller ID is very odd. But I pushed the button. I sent to the breakout room. Do they have to press star
6
to unmute and then say, hello. Hello. Hello.
Sometimes they've put down their phone, so we'll give them a moment.
Wandered off.
Star 6.
So I don't know if you noticed, but I am now using, I'm no longer using the Lenovo Windows computer as my, there we are. Hi, what's your first name?
Am I on the line? Hello?
You're on the line. What's your first name? Can you hear me?
Oh my God! Yeah. I'm sorry. Just because I was
turn off the stream because that'll confuse you. It's like they used to say on the radio. Yeah. Turn down your radio.
Turn down your
We don't have to do that anymore. Thank goodness.
Well, you're on my projector, right? Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
We hear you great. What's your first name and where are you calling from?
Oh, yeah. I'm calling from Brazil. My first name is Ayrton, Airton.
Like the great Ayrton Senna, the great Brazilian Formula One driver. Yes. Hi, Ayrton.
Yeah, well, it's actually after my father, but everyone just says the same.
Yeah.
Well, I had notes. That I wasn't actually I wasn't expecting to be picked. Right. First off, you have your M3, right? I'm going to the States, and because in Brazil it's Apple. We've got Apple stores here, but they're ridiculously expensive. You can buy a car.
Oh wow!
Oh Lord!
You're kidding? Wow. Although Apple is opening Brazilian manufacturing for the iPhone for that reason, because the tariffs are so high in Brazil. They want, and recently
Foxconn is already here.
Yeah.
Foxconn is already here. I'm not sure if they are producing for Apple as of now, but
that's the plan.
Even though the taxation, I don't think the government will actually make it easier for them.
They really want it to be Brazilian companies. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone kind of forgets about us. It's like I'm calling from a Google Pixel. Google is not in here. I had to get my Google Pixel from somewhere else, and so it's not support. Even though it's a 5G, I don't get 5G. It's just annoying.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But where in Brazil do you live in? Do you live in São Paulo?
São Paulo.
Yeah, nice.
São Paulo, correct. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, what else can we? You wanted to ask about the M3, which I have sitting right in front of me. I was just about to talk about.
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I know it is. It might be a question that you have received before, but I've heard very good things about the MacBook Air M2, and now there's the MacBook Pro M3. I'm a MacBook Pro guy. I have the 2011 one. I have the 2018, which is I couldn't modify in any way because everything is soldered.
It's the same thing on this one.
2011. Oh yeah, I know that, but at least the offer because I got that one from France and they had it on a deal that I could only get it on with 8 gig of memory.
It's not the end of the world. I think you can get away with 8 gig. I bought this with 64 gig. I spent I could have bought a house for this. I spent a ridiculous amount of money on it. So I got the Max, and I got the M3 Max, and I got 64 gigs, which is crazy. One thing I do notice, though, no matter how much RAM you have in a MacBook, it uses it all. It's smart. The memory management is actually quite good. And so I've seen people say, "Oh, I don't know, I bought 16 gigs and it's all used."
We had
That's
a caller
normal.
last week who was asking about that.
So you've talked about it. Yeah. That's what you want. You don't want to have it just sitting there unused. You bought it, use it. But even with 8, it can operate pretty well. I upgraded this because I was thinking I'll be doing some machine learning stuff on that, which uses the high-end machine language processor on here. So and that means also a lot of storage, a lot of RAM. So I really wanted to kind of max it out, if you will. And I spent my inheritance on this. Yeah. But I have to say, if you like the Air, honestly, for most people, M2 is perfectly fine.
I agree.
It will be so much faster than your Intel. Get it with 16 if you can get your friends to get that one. But I think the Air, for 99% of the people who are not crazy like Leo, is great.
100%. And especially if you can splurge on the internal storage for it.
You'd be better off, frankly.
Yeah, I'll definitely get 1 terabyte.
Yeah, get a terabyte. You'd be better off buying an M2 with more RAM than an M3 with less RAM.
Yep.
The speed increase on the M3 is very specific to certain kinds of tasks. It's not going to be noticeable in most of what you do. What do you do, Ayrton, with your Mac?
Well, I just left a company I was working for an app, a French app, and I will be joining my dad's company in a marketing department.
Nice.
So I don't think I know I need a Mac because I'm in marketing. So it's just that I don't suppose I'm gonna be needing a lot of horsepower.
No, get an Air.
Yep.
The M2 Air has an immense amount of horsepower.
What about the port?
What about which?
What about the ports? I always have
the ports.
The number of.
So here's what I use. So I do have to say right now, because I'm using the Pro, I've got an HDMI port, so we're plugged into that. I've got the card reader, which as a photographer I use. But this is what I was using on the Air when I had the Air in here. And notice this is kind of intriguing. It has two Type-C connectors. So it plugs right into the two Type-C connectors of your Air that are side by side. And look what it adds. Hold it upright. It adds a display port, an HDMI port, another display port, another HDMI. So you can have multiple monitors, Ethernet.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is nice because it's a dock. So it's got this little rubber thing. So you put it on this, you plug it in, and you're docked to it. This is from a company called Hyperdrive. This is the Hyperdrive 4K multi-display docking station. But there are many companies that make these. Otherworld Computing has some very good ones. We use the Cal Digit as well.
Thunderbolt, or it uses just USB 3.0?
I think this is because it's 4K display, so it must be using the Thunderbolt. Okay. But you don't. But if it depends what you want to do. If you want to. If you want to do the displays, then you might want the Thunderbolt because that will let you do more displays. But if you're just doing USB ports, HDMI, maybe not HDMI, Ethernet, and the card readers and stuff, you could get a less expensive one. Thunderbolt really adds to the cost because of the licensing fees and additional circuitry. So you could use whatever is appropriate to your use case. But there are plenty of these docks, and this one's a nice one. This is. I'll have to look up the price, but it's from Hyperdrive. And I was very happy with this. And it does let you drive multiple monitors off a MacBook Air, which is kind of cool.
But it's not like you're on the laptop. It's like
I know, I agree. It's a dongle.
If
live
you
in the
need
dongle
more
life.
ports, then you're going to have to go outside of the Air to get those ports. I find that I don't need those ports. I mean, Apple's wireless technologies, airdropping from this thing is very easy.
That's a good point.
When I'm moving between an iPhone and this, all that stuff is syncing anyway in the background. So if it's photos, they're syncing between them. I rarely plug this thing in. I think the one time that I regularly plug it in is when I need to, when I say plug it, I mean plug something into it, is when I need to sign into something that requires my YubiKey, and I just happen to have a USB-A YubiKey for two-factor authentication. So I have to plug in a little dongle that gives me USB-A out, and then I plug that. But outside of that, the only thing that's ever plugged into it is this USB-C charging cable that I have when I'm here at the studio, because otherwise it's got MagSafe on it to charge it. I don't really. I'm just using it as it is.
The MacBook Air. Does the MacBook Air has a dedicated MagSafe as the MacBook Pro?
Yeah, so don't worry that your charger is not using a port. You still have two.
Yeah, you'll get
Thunderbolt
two ports plus the headphone jack and the charging.
Actually, I love it because you can charge. I'm charging right now on a Type-C charger.
Yeah, you can choose either or.
But it's nice to have the MagSafe. I keep the MagSafe at home,
and
that's really easy. Hey, Ayrton, I'm so glad you called.
Okay.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your help.
Good luck with the new job.
Just one last little. That will depend on my parents, but and on my, not only on that, on my performance, of course. But just one little thing that I'm really sure you don't want to hear, but I really want to. I'm a listener since 2005.
Thank you.
When I was living in London, and I got to know about podcasts because of my iPod, and I was like, well, what's this new thing about podcasts? Is it for the iPod? And then I just found out about Twit, and I've been listening since. But I want to join the club, and I will. I know right now it's a matter of surviving, and I will do it no matter what.
Thank you, Eric.
But I'm pretty sure there are other people. Brazil has 230 million people, and it's two-thirds the size of the U.S. A lot of people listen to your shows, but the companies, they adapt the prices here. Like Netflix is much cheaper, Amazon Prime is much cheaper.
Oh, that's good.
It's just that with $8, which I will be paying no matter what, I can sign up for Netflix and HBO, for example, together.
Yeah.
So
what you're saying is we're more expensive in Brazil than a lot of the other streamers. Yeah, it's $7.
Yes, because of the currency.
Yeah.
The currency exchange, and because like Brazil is a very specific. We're not Latin America. I mean, we are like in Latin America, but we're not.
We're kind of limited. Here's the deal. Here's why it is the way it is. We use a service from Patreon called Memberful. And Memberful does all of the back-end hard work. We don't have the team to do that. They're the ones that hook up the Discourse. They're the ones that provide the feeds for ad-free and all of that. So we're kind of at the mercy of Memberful. They use Stripe. That's their payment system, which can use PayPal. But it is not smart enough to do appropriate prices in various countries and things like that. They just don't have that facility. If you can't afford it, and this goes for everybody everywhere in the world, that's fine. I understand. I really appreciate your support. You don't have to subscribe. And if it costs more than HBO and Netflix put together, I wouldn't, because I don't think, we give you that much value. As good as we are, we try, but we're not doing Succession here. We're not doing Game of Thrones here. So I understand.
Maybe
we are limited by what we can do. We don't, you can always send us a check, I guess, but you won't get membership features. It's just the way it works because we use a service, and that's how the service works.
We could put in a request. I'll put in a request to Memberful to talk about localized currency options.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And if they can, they will, but it's not our choice.
Exactly.
And it's not up
That's
to us.
up to them.
If it were up to me, Ayrton, I would just say, give me $1 and we're good. Hey, Ayrton, it's really nice to talk to you. I really appreciate it. Obrigado and adios. And, by the way, I should say, one of the things we're very interested in, and thanks to AI increasingly is possible, is I would love to do a Portuguese version of our shows, a Spanish version, and AI is getting so good that they even make the mouth move right. It doesn't look dubbed. It's in our voices. It's in your language. Spotify offers that as a service to some limited people. As soon as we can do that, I would love to do localized versions in Portuguese, and I think Spanish would be our very first. Portuguese would be our second, maybe Chinese and Japanese. Because I really think the content should be available to anybody in every language. Great to talk to you, Ayrton. Thank you. Anthony Nielsen, our AI expert, says, yeah, that works for some shows, but you try it with Twig. Hey, these AIs are smart, Anthony. They're smart. Yeah, I apologize for the limitations in the club. We picked Memberful. Lisa did a lot of due diligence when she started this 2 years ago. We picked Memberful because it gave us the best combination of features for you and ease of use for us. And we're very happy with it. But there are limits to what it can do. So I was going to I started saying before Ayrton called that I am, and he is not from Bakersfield, by the way. I don't know if you figured that out.
That's kind of hard.
He was using probably Google Voice, and it showed up as Bakersfield, right? I have switched from the Lenovo to the MacBook Pro, and for a couple of reasons. One, the main reason is I can use both. So I'm using it as a Mac right now, running Firefox on a Mac. But I can. Do you want to show my screen? With the swap of the fingers, go over to Windows, and now it's a Windows machine. It's Windows, it's Mac. It's Windows, it's Mac. So this gives me the ability to answer questions in both dialogues, both.
And that's
languages.
why you need 64 gigs of RAM.
That's exactly why I got.
Because that's the only way to make Windows work.
Yeah. Windows needs a lot of memory. So, thank you. Oh, so nice to talk to Brazil. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. There's okay. So $1 is right now is $4.93 in Brazil. I think they've had some inflation, as I remember.
Wow.
So, yeah. That means it would be what, $40 or something to subscribe to Club
Jeez
Twit.
Louise.
Yeah, no, you don't, please don't. Of course, I know he wants to get in the Discord. He wants to be getting the shows.
Yeah.
He wants to hang. Who else?
How about a quick email?
How about?
Practice a rotator cuff a little bit.
Oh, I need the exercise. It's okay. I've been rowing just so I have the muscle power to reach back. Here is another email from some lucky listener, atg@twit.tv. Bitwarden USB fingerprint reader for Windows 11. Hi to the tech guys.
Hi.
My Windows 11 PC, says John in Norfolk, UK, doesn't come with a fingerprint reader. I'm looking for a USB fingerprint reader, not only to log into Windows 11, but unlock things like Bitwarden, his password manager. Will a third-party USB fingerprint reader do this, or will it only log into Windows 11, and which one should I go for? So the one thing I would say is Windows uses an authentication system called Windows Hello.
Yep.
And if you get a Windows Hello compatible fingerprint reader, you will be able to, it's my understanding, not only unlock Windows 11, but anything else like Bitwarden that's properly configured to take advantage of Windows Hello authentication.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I know, that will work. Now, as for which company, I don't, Synaptics probably makes one. I don't know which one's the best.
Yeah, I was trying to see if Microsoft had a page that listed.
That recommends them.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing it.
It will say whatever one you're buying, if it's Windows Hello compatible, it needs to be Windows Hello compatible. That's the main takeaway on that. And I don't have any experience with third parties. You know what I can do, John, is ask Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell if they have a recommendation on Windows Weekly. We do a great Windows show every Wednesday, and I will save this. And I will ask Paul and Richard which one they recommend. But I can tell you if it supports Windows Hello, it should support Bitwarden. No problem. What else? Another one?
Let's do another email. Yeah.
Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy, coming up in just a little bit.
Want to do another email?
Oh.
Yeah, let's do another one.
We got callers.
You want...
There's hands up. I see. I'm going to do James, and then I'll do another email. How about that? James is on the line. Sending James to the breakout room. James,
come on
down.
You're the next caller on Ask the Tech Guys.
Yeah, Ask the Tech Guys. You must have watched The Price is Right.
Indeed.
Yes.
A lot.
Do you?
When I was sick from school.
Oh, yeah.
I'm from school sick.
What did I watch? My mom would make me tomato soup with a grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh.
And I think, what would I watch? I think I would watch like the Andy Griffith Show and Petticoat Junction, old time TV sitcoms, I think would be what's on around noon.
Nice.
Here's from our Discord while we're getting our call. Oh, there he is.
Welcome.
The Verimark desktop fingerprint key. He recommends FIDO UTF certified, good. FIDO2 WebAuth and Windows Hello certified.
There you go.
So that's from Kensington, Kensington.com. Thank you, Scooter X.
Oh, yeah. Kensington's a great
The
choice.
Verimark. Well, hello there, my friend.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Where are you calling from?
Calling him from Philadelphia.
Beauty, Philly. Hey, I'm sorry about the Eagles last week. We just, we lost our heads and
that was tough to watch.
Beat
that was
the
tough to watch,
crap out of you.
Yeah, I know. We had it coming, I guess. I don't know.
I'm sure it was really tough to watch for a Phillies fan.
Yeah.
Doctor is a big Eagles fly guy, and I know it was hurting. It was painful. What can we do for you?
Rough. I have two things I want to talk about. First off, happy holidays. And
Thank you.
In that vein, I'd like to get one last-minute gift recommendation from each of you guys.
Okay, good.
Ooh.
But wait, I got to talk about some of the gadgets.
I know.
you
Look
got.
at you.
First of all, are you a podcaster?
Or a gamer,
No,
a streamer?
I used to stream a little bit. I
Nice.
spent a lot of time on Discord.
I definitely get the streaming vibe.
I love your EFF t-shirt. That is
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah. Proud
I
owner.
love that light up mic. Man, I might recommend that. That's cool. Oh my God.
Yeah, it mutes.
It
Tap and
mutes. So when it's on, you're on the air. But I got to ask you, there is a river of light coming from the back of your head. What the hell is
that? Your tail?
Which way do I go?
Oh my God.
It's like one of those globes that you touch and it follows your finger, except
like
it's a
plasma
crazy,
dealy?
like twirly thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like a Jacob's ladder or something. Plasma is plasma, isn't it?
Yeah, see, I've had that forever. I can't believe I haven't broken it, to be honest.
Yeah. That is, well, what's great is it's coming out of your head. So it looks like,
Looks like I got a little alfalfa.
A little, something going on there. Wow. What game did you play when you were streaming?
Oh, I'd play anything my friends were playing. We played a lot of Warzone, Call of Duty. That was kind of our big thing.
Yeah.
It's just easy to get into, and it was free. That's the thing. If you can find a free game that everyone will play,
then everybody plays. Yeah.
Everyone plays.
Otherwise, they have to pay for it.
Even if it's kind of a crappy game.
Yeah. Gift ideas.
This is a great question.
I have to be honest. Every year on the radio show for 20 years, they would say, "Okay, Leo, I need your holiday gift guide." And I would say, after doing that for 20 years, I hate doing holiday gift guides.
Well, you're doing it again.
Because, you have to do in the $20,
serve our
in
listeners.
the $50, in the price is no object. You have to do this whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then you'd go on the morning shows. Oh, we got from Cashfly, Los Angeles. We got the tech guy on. What's your holiday gift idea, Leo? I just used to hate doing that.
See, what Leo's doing now, it's very common in radio, is while he thinks about what he's going to answer.
Oh, you caught me.
He riffs for a while.
All right, I'm going to tell you
and
what
while he was riffing, I was also thinking about.
I'm going to tell you what I recommend. A lovely package of salt from my son, Salt Hank, and the Salt Lovers Club. Everybody loves salt. And this is Hank is not paying me for this. Do run though, because there's only 3 left. They've sold out of almost everything, including OF. That's pretty good. I really wanted to give the works to our staff, but also sold out. So Salt Tank, but I did buy, I shouldn't say it. Never mind. I won't say what I bought.
Too late.
He also has hysterical apparel like this one, which says, "I effing love salami." And then Salt Lovers on it. He says, Barack Obama says, "This is my go-to casual shirt for social events." I don't know if that's true. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. He also has, and I bought this, the very beautiful, and he does good quality material. The caption on it says, "Does your dad know you put his cast iron in the dishwasher?" And I think that comes from life. I think that comes from maybe perhaps an incident involving my cast iron and his filthy little hands. Also, does your mom know you don't baste your steaks? Is another good one.
That's funny.
So, and they're very nicely made. They're very good. And then there's, of course, the ever popular flaky salt tea. John Legend says, "I have this recurring dream where my fingers turn into peanuts. I don't know what to do or what it means, but it's starting to kind of mess with my head. Buy this shirt." So I don't know where he's getting these quotes from. So
pretty good.
You gave me a chance to plug my dear son's salt business. He's an internet chef. He's a TikTok chef, and he's got a good fan club buying these apparently because he's almost sold out. That's only been a week since he opened it. What do you recommend?
Yeah, so I've got 2 things. On my end, it doesn't seem very glamorous, but every time I've given this, the person on the other end is so excited, so happy about it. Specifically, I've gotten them from Nomad, which is a former sponsor on the network. But Nomad makes these really long USB-C cables, charging cables that have Kevlar around the outside.
Oh, wow.
And so people with kids, what I did was I bought one and then I installed a little label on it that had the kid's name on it. And so it was his cable and he loved that thing. It charged his iPad and whatever else he had. So a really nice, really strong cable that will charge the different electronic devices is great. And even more so if you can also get an adapter to go with it. Because a lot of people, they've got one and then they share it among the different family members. They're not like us who are just flush with these things. That can be really life-changing. And then the other thing is you have to find the right person for this, but I was definitely the right person for this, which is why I bought it for myself. I got like a high-powered duster that's for tech, and I use that thing for so much.
That's actually a very useful tool.
So it's plug-in. It's not, the recharge. It's not the shake the can and spray it.
Yeah, you got to be careful with those anyway. Because,
exactly.
Yeah.
The one that I purchased, unfortunately, is not available anymore, so I can't read the really long, silly name that it has. But if you look up a computer duster and look for one that has multiple options for speed, multiple speed options, someone who enjoys cleaning out their tech or whatever it happens to be will have so much fun with that. It makes me think of that, I don't know, like a song, almost like Flight of the Bumblebees comes on as I'm just running around the house with one of these, just spraying everything with it. It's so much fun. So yeah, I think they kind of catch you off guard, but then they start using it, whatever it happens to be. I think those are really fun gifts. So
is that electrically powered? It's not the old full of whatever is in there?
No. Yeah, it's electric. Definitely get an electric one, not the frozen stuff.
Because I use the frozen stuff, and I'm always worried that can's going to explode when I'm not like
and it ends up running out too quick. And
exactly.
Those should be relegated to the thing that they're very good at, which is cake decorating. That is where you need that kind of stuff because little tip there. You turn it upside down and you spray it, and it helps to freeze things in place. So people who sculpt with chocolate or with different things, they'll use that to freeze the item.
Don't use the ones with bitterant.
Yeah, exactly.
That wouldn't be
good.
That
would not taste very good. But yeah, one that plugs in. I wouldn't even get a rechargeable one because that won't give you the power you need. I love the one that I have where it plugs directly into the wall. I've got the one switch where it'll blow you back, and then the second switch which will blow you back and the person behind you.
Wow.
And
is there a static electricity issue with these? Because sometimes there is with like dust busters and stuff.
There can be. I have not run into that issue, but I'm very careful with
anything with
electrostatic discharge.
With the air.
If you need to, you can get the little ESD cuff and do all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You may remember.
Thanks, guys.
I'll give you one more, but everybody's saying I should tell everybody to get the Cheeto duster. Don't get the Cheeto.
It didn't look like it actually chopped up the
This
Cheetos.
was something that Salt Hank was selling on his Amazon stream earlier this week. And I did buy one, so I will have it to demonstrate. The idea is you put Cheetos inside it, and it's basically a magic bullet. And you press the button, it goes, and it chops the Cheetos up into Cheeto dust. I'm not going to recommend that.
I don't know about that one.
Wait till I get mine and I can give you a review.
Yeah.
I will do it. You know what? I should
That'd be so funny.
Cheetos duster review. It'll be an excuse to have a bunch of Cheetos. Do you remember when you first came here for Christmas, I gave you a Hobonichi?
A Hobonichi, yep.
Do you like your Hobonichi?
I love the Hobonichi.
So I bought another one this year. I bought these every year. Now, this is not a tech guy recommendation because it's completely analog, but there's something about writing in a notebook with your pen, and I have a nice pen that I bought for this. This is a Japanese company that makes a techo. A techo is a day planner, and they're made of beautiful paper. Don't get the Japanese edition. I did by accident, but they haven't. And unless you read Japanese, I wouldn't. They use Tomo River paper, which is so nice. It's very thin and light, so you get a fairly small planner. But it's you can use a fountain pen with it. It's very good paper, and they release this every year with new covers and bindings. The English language version is available at arts-science.com. I would have brought mine with me. I carry it around with me, but of course it doesn't start till January 1st, so I don't have it with me today. But I will show you next week. These are beautiful, and yeah, I know it's not. And I do keep my, calendar and everything on my iPhone, and I have, a daily technology-based journal that I type with. There's something about writing.
It's different.
Yeah. And they have some nice little back end features like this, an interview with myself that you fill in, my top 100, and then they don't say what, so you can decide. But it's really a beautiful day planner.
Top 100 Cheetos flavors.
Cheetos flavors. It could be. And they have Japanese culture pages and stuff. I just think it's a really elegant, nice feeling thing to have a physical day planner. So they're not hugely expensive. They're under $100 with the cover. They have a variety of different color covers. In fact, the covers tend to sell out because they have all sorts of styles. The Japanese, I think Japanese girls especially, they seem to be a lot of kind of Japanese girls.
You got me a cute one with bears on it.
Yeah, I got you the bear one. Yeah. And now you could put it every year. I should get you a new filler because you can take it out.
To go inside. Yeah.
Keep the cover.
The bear case.
That's fantastic. My brother would love something like that.
Yeah, some people still
end up with that.
And I'm getting back into physically writing stuff. I just like that. It's not as easy to search.
Right.
You could lose it. There's a lot of disadvantages compared to digital.
But there's something
But there's
about
an aesthetic
the act of writing.
that it works with your mind. And, Neil Stephenson, the great sci-fi writer, hand writes in fountain pen all of his books. And they're long, long books.
That's interesting.
And he says he has to because he can't, typing it doesn't come out right. It doesn't come out of his head right. Anyway, it's a pleasure to talk to you and your beautiful setup. I think you must go back to streaming because you have it all made there. It's really gorgeous.
No, I appreciate you saying so. Yeah. One other thing I wanted to ask, how was Vegas? How was the F1 race? I'm a big F1 fan. I got my
my goodness. I could show it again. I showed you what it looks like when you go to an F1 race. It's perhaps not as
Could you even see the cars?
You don't see as much as you do if you watch it on TV. But on the other hand, when you're there, you really get a sense of how fast and powerful these cars are and how brave they are. Here they come.
Oh, my word.
That's all you see.
And that's all you get to see.
That's it. They go by really quick. And those were very expensive tickets. But I probably will never do it again. Mm-hmm. But having done it once, now I have a great appreciation
of
what's going on. These guys are crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're a different breed.
That was on the strip. Our seats were on the strip, and they were going over 200 miles an hour and passing each other. And then there's a big turn, like a mile away, but they're going to get there in 3 seconds. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
Cool. Sounds like you had a good time, even though you don't get to see a whole lot.
I loved it. It was an amazing thing to do. It's crazy expensive, especially in Vegas. If you really want to go, I would say I could have, for the same amount I spent going to Vegas, I could have flown to Belgium and watching the Spa-Francorchamps race for a lot less money.
Oh, wow.
So a better track.
And a better track. Yeah. So, yeah. But it was fun to watch. It was crazy. We were right. I don't know if you remember, but in the practice, one of the drivers, Carlos Sainz, there was a little drain cover that came up and he hit it. And it caused $1 million damage on his car. It could have killed him. I mean, it's a terrible thing. It came up and we were right there and you saw him. I knew something was wrong because he went down and he was sparking. It was like the 4th of July as he went by. They shut the whole race down that day. They said, no more practice. And they cemented all of the drain pipes. But that's the problem with the street track. There's things on the street. It was pretty fun. I remain a fan, and but I will not be going back for next year. But James, who lives in Vegas, he says I've already put in for my passes. It would, if you're in the area, it's something to see.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, great to talk to you. Thank you so much for calling.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care. Should we put Bonnie on here?
I think we need to take a break because we have our next.
Oh, Sam Abuelsamid. Yeah. Holy cow. Well, get ready because the car guy, speaking of F1, is coming up in just a second, right after this word from the people who bring you this show, Cashfly. You've heard me say it a million times. Bandwidth for Ask the Tech Guys is provided by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com. But what is Cashfly? They are our content delivery network, a CDN. For 20 years, Cashfly has held the track record for high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery. They serve over 5,000 companies. They're in over 80 countries. Organizations like Twit choose Cashfly for scalability, reliability, and unrivaled performance. Now, for years, we've been using something now that they offer everybody called the Storage Optimization System. And it ensures that your holiday season remains jolly because with the SOS, you get private partitions dedicated to your use on their servers, providing 100% bandwidth to ensure your content remains king. Eliminate cache misses because your content's on Cashfly. Keep your data and content primed, keep it closer to customers, maintain optimal speeds, and ensure quicker content delivery no matter where your customers are. The thing I love about Cashfly, you don't know we use Cashfly because it works. It's flawless. It's fast. You probably don't even notice that you get your podcast faster, but you do, and we love that. And we've been with them for more than 10 years. Like Cashfly, we've never had a problem. Supercharge your images, get a website. Watch your web content soar to new heights of efficiency and performance with their smart image optimization service, which automatically resizes all your images to fit any size screen. And your viewers, your users get the seamless, lag-free experience they deserve. See, putting your content out on the edge, close to your users, means that delivery speed is virtually instantaneous. Cashfly's video-on-demand cache layer, if you add that to your mix, you're going to witness a transformative reduction in loading times. You'll say goodbye to the buffering blues. And I love it because you'll immediately and permanently drive your cache hit ratio to 100% using Cashfly's VOD cache. It is the way to go. And what's great is it's a primo experience for a fraction of the price. With Cashfly, you get a variety of benefits: ultra-low latency video streaming, which delivers video to as many as 1 million concurrent customers, more than lightning-fast gaming, which will deliver downloads faster with zero lag, glitches, or outages; mobile content optimization, which gives you automatic and simple image optimization so your site loads faster on any device. Cashfly is the only CDN built for throughput, which means your rich media content is delivered 10 times faster than traditional delivery methods and up to 30% faster than other major CDNs. We loved it because the billing was very flexible because we're spiky. People download the shows a lot at first and then a little later on. And so it's very hard to predict what our bandwidth usage is going to be. They worked with us, and they'll work with you with flexible month-to-month billing until you figure out what the trends are, and then you can get a fixed-term deal that will give you a great discount. You design your own contract when you switch to Cashfly. And man, is the support fantastic. With Cashfly's elite managed packages, you get VIP treatment. Your dedicated account manager will be with you from day one, ensuring a smooth implementation and reliable 24/7 support when you need it. We've been using Cashfly for more than a decade, and I would not have it any other way. People come to us all the time and say, hey, what about us? What about us? And I always tell them, never, ever am I changing. Start your journey with Cashfly. Get a complimentary first month or give it a whirl with a free 5 terabyte account when you go to cashfly.com/twit. Cashfly.com/twit. And we thank Cashfly so much for supporting Ask the Tech Guys. Look at James's badges. James, so you went this year. Look at that. He's got the special event staff stuff. So that's the way to go. Be on the staff.
There you go.
They had a better view than I did. The ushers, they were great.
Although maybe a more dangerous view.
It's not dangerous.
I mean, if that cap had flown into the audience that he hit.
Oh yeah, and another driver, the wheels fell off.
See, that's some Final Destination.
He went over
stuff.
some bumps, and the wheel goes flying. And I always think, like, what happened if that went into the grandstands? That would be anyway. Didn't. So it's okay.
Sam Abuelsamid, can you tell us what happens if the wheels fly off in your electric vehicle?
Toyota knows.
Bad things.
Toyota knows.
Toyota knows all about that. They had a problem with the BZ4X when they launched it last year with wheels falling off.
But now
literally falling off.
You're in front of an Acura race car today. What is that? That's cool.
So, I just put this up while you were talking about the F1 race.
Oh, okay.
Because especially when you're going to a street race, if you're in an oval race like the Indy 500, something like that, you can see the whole track.
Yeah.
But if you're at a street race, the only way to really get a good view of everything that's going on is if you can get media credentials and get a photo pass and get access to all these little places where
I'd love to have been in the paddock.
Where the regular fan.
Yeah. As I'm going there.
Even in the paddock, you're not going to see any of the race.
Right.
But if you've got media credentials, like I happen to have on a few occasions, like this was the 2018 Detroit Grand Prix.
Oh, neat.
That's your photo.
And, so that's one of my photos.
Oh,
nice. the race. You know,
Nice.
and they have, if you look, you'll see, if you're watching, especially street races, and even road course races, you'll see that at various places along the chain link fence, there'll be little holes in there. And there's photographers sticking their big lenses through there, getting these kinds of shots.
Wow.
But most people don't ever get that opportunity, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you can, I get to wander around all around the track, different corners. And
fun.
That's awesome.
Stuff. Fun.
Yeah.
They did at the Formula One. They had fences that went up and then had fencing that kind of angled in over.
Yeah, that's to catch the loose parts, loose tires.
Oh, no thanks.
I can't remember if it was this year. I think it was this year actually at the Indy 500. There was a crash.
Wow.
And a tire came loose and flew off into the infield of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and crashed into a car that was parked there. Basically collapsed the roof of the car.
Gemini.
And it happened to be a Chevrolet Cruze, and Chevrolet is one of the two engine suppliers for IndyCar. And so they found out who it was. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
Well, and here's the good news. They don't need those cruises anymore. So no big deal. No loss.
Well, I mean, this was a fan's car.
Oh, okay.
So Chevrolet actually gave them a new car.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
That's a good gift.
But normally that's actually pretty rare for that to happen.
Yeah.
Particularly
Which part?
these days,
getting a new car from a company or?
Well, both actually. But no, the tires flying loose because they actually have a tether system on the wheels now. They've had that for, I don't know, the last 15 years or so. They have a tether system that's designed to prevent, so the wheels will come loose. You'll see the cars, if they crash, the wheels will be flopping around, but they usually stay attached to the chassis.
Cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, because that is something that has happened in the past where a tire will fly off into the grandstands and people will get injured and in some cases have been killed.
Oof.
So
yeah, Lando's tires went flying off and rolling down the it was a pretty nasty. You could see it right here.
Who's gone off the road in the background there?
Lando Norris, I think. It's the McLaren.
And Lando Norris goes off the road.
That was a nasty crash. They sent him to the hospital. He was fine, thank goodness. We were talking about Ayrton Senna earlier with our caller from Brazil. He was the last person to die in an F1 crash.
Yeah, I was watching that race live when it happened.
That was devastating.
Unfortunately.
Devastating.
Yeah.
But as a result, a lot of safety.
There's been amazing developments over the last 40 years in race car safety.
So no one has died in a Formula One accident since 1994. So that's pretty amazing.
One of the complaints a lot of people have about modern F1 cars is that they're so big. And if you actually stand next to one, you realize, these things are 5 meters long. And part of the reason why they are so long and so large is because of the safety regulations that they have now. So, one of the most obvious things, of course, is the halo, that you'll see on most modern race cars, which is designed to prevent, if a tire or some other piece of debris comes off, it's designed to deflect it away from the driver's head.
Okay. The halo would have saved Senna's life, actually.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of things that would have saved his life.
Yeah.
But also in F1 and in most other top class racing, before a car is allowed to compete, they actually have to crash test it.
Oh, really?
And it has to meet certain requirements. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So when F1 teams design a new car, and it's the same for prototypes, when they design a new car, it has to go to an FIA facility to be crash tested before they're allowed to run it.
Just like our street vehicles.
Yep.
They crash test every car that you could buy to drive around, right? Or no?
They're supposed to be crash tested. At least in the US, the government does not actually crash test all the cars. We have a process, unfortunately, called self-certification, where the government publishes the rules and the procedures. The manufacturers go out and test them, and then submit those results to the government. And the government will crash test about 10% of new cars. To essentially to audit, to try to keep everybody honest. but sometimes things slip through the cracks, and the same is true for emissions and fuel economy tests. The government does not do all of that testing. The manufacturers do it themselves, submit the data, and then it gets signed off by
European
regulators.
Countries do that, or does Japan
no? In Europe, they have a type approval process where there's independent third parties that are appointed by regulators that have to do the testing.
Like
so
Underwriters Lab or somebody like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's an organization called TÜV in Germany that does a lot of this. And so the manufacturers will send vehicles to them to do all of the regulatory compliance testing before the car is allowed to go on sale. But that's not the case here in the US. So things do occasionally slip through the cracks.
It's probably a good idea though to look at the crash safety.
Oh, absolutely.
Numbers.
And one of, there's also an organization here called the IHS, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, that is a nonprofit that is funded by the insurance industry. And they do a lot of testing. They have their, if you've ever seen the top safety pick ads for new cars, manufacturers will advertise their top safety picks.
Right.
Those top safety picks are handed out by IHS, and they crash test dozens of vehicles every year. And you can go to the IHS.org, I think it is, website, and check out. You can see they post the videos of all the crash tests they do. So they do crash tests that go above and beyond what the regulations call for. So one of the and over time, sometimes what they do gets incorporated into the regulations. So one of the current tests that they started doing probably about 10 years ago is referred to as SORB, the small offset rigid barrier test. So, the original crash test, you crashed the car straight on into a concrete barrier at like 40 miles an hour. The small offset rigid barrier test, they crash it into a barrier, into a rigid barrier, but with only a 25% overlap. So 1/4 of the car is overlapping the barrier. So that simulates what would happen in the kind of situation where, if you're driving down the road and a car drifted over the center line and you had, so not a direct head-on collision, but, the corners colliding. And that's actually one of the toughest tests that they've ever devised, because first of all, it's a very realistic test, but it's also really hard to design a structure to withstand that, because what often happens in that kind of a crash, and if you look at some of the older SORB tests, you'll see that the whole front wheel and front suspension will collapse into the passenger compartment and cause some very serious injuries for drivers and or passengers if it happens on the other side. Very serious leg injuries. And now, because of IHS doing this testing independently, all the manufacturers have redesigned the structures of modern vehicles to withstand the small offset rigid barrier test. And a few years back in 2019, I visited Honda's R&D facility in Ohio, and we got to witness a crash test there. And they did a SORB test. And like I said, it used to be that when they did this test, the whole the door and most of the front structure would be destroyed, and it'd be very hard to get occupants out of the vehicle. People were very often very seriously injured or killed. And now I saw them do a SORB test with a Honda Civic Coupe, and afterwards we walked up, and the driver's side door could open up, even though the whole front corner, left front corner of the car was completely destroyed. The door still opened, and the structure around the door was intact.
That's important.
So it would have been very minimal injuries, if any at all, to the occupant or the vehicle in that case.
Yeah.
Wow.
So those sorts of tests are really important. And so even though the government doesn't necessarily do all of the testing themselves, they do some, but they don't do all of it. There are other organizations that are trying to keep the industry honest about this stuff.
Yeah. Is that what you called in to talk about, Sam? Or
no, it wasn't actually.
that was us leading.
What would you
that's
like?
fine.
What's on your mind, Sam?
So, over the years, we've often talked about, the loss of removable batteries, swappable batteries in our laptops and our phones and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, cars, electric vehicles are one of the places where we don't generally get to swap out batteries. It's generally not that practical, but there have been attempts at doing battery swapping over the years particularly as an alternative to fast charging, because fast charging is expensive. The equipment is extremely expensive. It's hard on the battery when you're fast charging. It's challenging, to be able to install fast charging stations because you need to have very high power levels at the locations where you're putting these chargers. And so there's been various attempts at doing battery swapping. There was a company that launched in 2007 called Better Place, an Israeli startup that built a small network of swap stations in Israel. And they were supposed to do it in the Netherlands and a couple of places here in the US. And they had Renault design a version of one of their cars one of their EVs with a swappable battery. They ultimately went bankrupt in 2013 and shut down. Tesla demonstrated swappable batteries on the Model S and the Model X, and they built one swap station somewhere out in the Central Valley of California, where there were not very many people actually driving by. They may or may not have actually done a few swaps on using that station. They mostly just collected a lot of extra ZEV credits from the state of California that they could then turn around and sell for millions of dollars.
Typical.
But there's a company that's been around for a couple of years now called Ample that's taking a different approach. One of the problems with swappable batteries, and it was a problem with phones and with laptops, is that everybody's got different battery form factors. And the same is true for EVs. Every vehicle's got its own battery pack form factor. There's no standard battery pack and no standard battery chemistry. So what Ample, and so to do swap stations becomes very hard economically because you've got to stock all these different kinds of batteries and everything. Ample came up with a concept where instead of swapping the entire battery, they swap just the battery modules. So they came up with a standardized module. So this is basically, if you look at an EV battery, it's most of them are made up of, they're mostly modular. So they typically have, anywhere from 8 to 10, 12, in some cases, 24 modules that each one of those is essentially a battery unto itself. And Ample developed a standardized battery module. And then the idea is you can create a pack enclosure that fits each individual vehicle and holds these modules in there. And so the modules, because they're much smaller and lighter, the mechanism to swap them in and out is a lot easier. And they've been piloting this. They've got a pilot in San Francisco with a fleet of Nissan Leafs that are used in a ride-hailing service. They're doing it with a couple of other companies. And this week they announced a deal with Stellantis, the parent company of Chrysler and Jeep and Fiat and a bunch of other brands. And they're going to start working on integrating the Ample system into some Stellantis EVs. Their first pilot in 2024 is going to be with a fleet of Fiat 500Es that are part of the Free to Move ride car sharing service in Madrid, Spain. And the Ample system, they also have their swap stations are very easy to deploy. They basically, it's kind of like an IKEA for a swap station. The whole thing is essentially in flat pack crates, and they can come in and set up one of these swap stations in a matter of a few days, as opposed to doing a DC fast charging station that can take months or in some cases years if you need a substation upgrade to get a DC fast charging station. They can get an Ample swap station set up in a few days. Car comes in, stops, it gets lifted up. The mechanism comes in from underneath, drops the modules out of the battery pack in the car, takes them, puts them in a rack where they get charged, and puts freshly charged modules back in the car. You can be in and out in about 5 minutes.
I mean, this is obviously a great idea, but your car has to have these packs, right?
Yes.
Has to be designed this way.
Yes.
So the industry has to buy into it. Do you think that's likely?
On a broad scale, probably not anytime soon.
It would certainly sell EVs because you don't have to wait half an hour to charge your car.
Right. So where this actually makes a lot of sense is for fleets.
Right.
Like ride hailing, car sharing fleets,
right.
Delivery fleets where they need to minimize the downtime for the cars so they can come in, swap out modules in a few minutes. Because one potential downside of this is because the modules are a standard size. It's possible that, depending on the vehicle, you might not be able to get the same battery capacity as you would if you had an optimized battery pack specifically for that vehicle.
That's why we went away from swappable batteries in phones and laptops.
Right. So think about it. If you had a box and you had some wooden blocks, if you want to fill that box with wooden blocks, the dimensions of the box have to be some multiple of whatever the width of those blocks are. So if the blocks are 1 inch square and you have a 3.5 inch box, you're going to have 3 inches plus a half inch left over. And so you may have some empty space. So it's not necessarily going to be as optimized packaging, but for things like these fleets that are not necessarily being driven, cross country road trips, it makes perfect sense. You don't necessarily need 300 miles of range. If you have 100, 150 miles of range, and then they can come in and swap modules in 5 minutes and be back on the road, that's fine. It's more than adequate.
Well, let's cross our fingers. Remember Elon showed this with Teslas?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
They built one swap station.
Yeah.
They made the cars so that the batteries were swappable, but they never actually really implemented it, except, because the California rules said, if you build a battery electric vehicle, you get a certain number of credits, ZEV credits. And if it has swappable batteries, you get X plus, I think it was like 4 credits for each EV, and then 7 if it's a swappable batteries. So they got extra credits that they could sell.
One station,
and it was only open for less than a year.
Yeah.
And then they shut it down and never discussed swappable batteries again.
Sam Abuelsamid, he is principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He also does a great podcast called Wheel Bearings at wheelbearings.media. Joins us every month to talk about cars. What are you driving this week, Sam?
This week, I have the new Chevy Colorado Trail Boss midsize pickup.
Wow.
But this past week, I was in California for a couple of days. I was driving the Kia EV9 electric SUV, a 3-row SUV, and also the new Chevy Blazer EV.
Oh, nice.
Which can't talk about my drive impressions of that yet until Wednesday. So check out Wheel Bearings next week and also on Forbes on Wednesday for my impressions of the Chevy Blazer EV.
Lovely. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful
Thank you,
month. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you guys as well. Happy holidays and best to all your families. And sorry to hear about the challenges you guys are having at Twit.
Well, we knew, we kind of, it's not a surprise. It's been kind of a, slow burn, but still it hurts. It really does hurt. And
especially when you've got to let people like Victor and Jason.
Oh, we love, all 3 of them. Yeah. We love Victor, Jason, Ant. 3 of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Take care, John.
Take care.
Yeah.
And now, on that note, I think we can wrap things up for the fabulous.
We do have one more break we need to do.
We do?
Yeah.
We do 4.
We do.
But this one has no content.
Correct.
Unless
it's just going to happen just like this.
It has.
That was a bad snap, but you get the idea.
Like
content.
that.
Whoa, we're back.
But that does mean that we have to continue on.
We should do
a few more minutes. So let's do, because we don't want to put the ad at the very end.
Right.
We want to give you some juice. A dessert. This is our dessert call.
What is the dessert today?
Is it Adler? Should I go to? I'm going to go to Adler because he's been.
Yep.
His hand's been like for hours.
Idling Adler.
Oh, he's in pain. Adler, welcome to Ask the Tech Guys. Where are you calling from, my friend?
Binghamton,
New York.
Yep.
Home of the beautiful SUNY Binghamton.
Yeah, Binghamton University is doing well, and it's right down the road for me.
Nice.
So is let me get more in frame here.
Other way. There you go. What are the? Is that CDs, DVDs behind you?
Yeah, DVDs for the most part.
Funko Pop on Funko Pop.
That is a lot of movies. What? How big is your DVD collection?
Just 350, 400-ish, I think.
Wow. Do you put them on a Plex server, or do you actually physically go to the wall and pull a DVD?
I physically pull it.
Nice.
And, to go on what Douglas was talking about earlier in regard to that festival, it's like I got so much of the former tech.
Oh, yeah.
My Commodore VIC-20.
Look at that.
Wow.
The inbox phone mate answering machine.
Oh, one of the very first. Nice.
See, there was now I can't find the other history. Oh man, this.
I'm just imagining it right out of frame.
It's Fibber McGee's closet, I tell you. Now there's Netflix red envelope.
Yeah.
Woo!
So I'm all about.
Are you going to keep that? You're going to keep that one. That's good.
They'll only charge you $700.
And of course, for the gift guide, you could always get someone a Funko Pop that's of their own.
I just saw that this morning.
That's the Adler Funko Pop.
I went to design mine and I thought, I don't have enough unique things about me. Mine just looks like any other brown person.
Yeah. So what you do, you put so I have headphones in there and they don't have a DDJ. So unfortunately, my I DJ, and then there's also a camera in here.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm also a sports photographer.
If they had a Chihuahua, then they'd know it was me.
Yeah, well, they might have Chihuahuas.
I think they do. They do have dogs.
Oh, well, maybe I'll have to go look again because this morning I got sad designing my.
For Scott's question, or Scott said it would be great if there was a website where people could locate, or some type of search service for where to watch things online.
Yes,
and there's actually two. One is called Real Good, REEL Good.
And
the other is Just Watch. I like Just Watch better. I put in Blossom, the 1990 show, and that came up with a lot of things, 4 different things called Blossom, and then something called Blaze. So it must have a subtitle of something called Blossom. So for Blossom, the TV show, it shows you can stream on Hulu or buy on Apple TV, Amazon, or Google Play. There's the thing called Blaze has, for streaming, Prime Video, Hoopla, Vudu, Tubi, Plex, and Zumo, Rent on Microsoft, Redbox, Amazon, Vudu, Apple TV, Google Play.
Yes, cool. And what else is great about Just Watch is if you can install it on your Apple TV, and if you do a search there, it has links directly to the content
that would be
from
good.
your Apple TV.
That's a selling point.
That's what I like about Just Watch.
Because the search on Apple TV doesn't cover Netflix,
it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. There are some things it won't cover.
And then I, for a long time, used Can I Stream It, but they finally, I don't know what happened. They're defunct. They're rebuilding it. So I don't know what's going on. So it sounds like Just Watch is the premier one. Here's Real Good.
And it shows all the prices for the different providers. So
I like this. So they have an app. That makes all the difference in the world.
I like that it has an app. I think Rosemary was the one who put me on Just Watch.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so that's what I, based on what was on the show. But I did have a question. So about a few months ago, I called in regard to my email, where my Time Warner Roadrunner email was crashing every time just for the one account, and you suggested Thunderbird, and that works well. So for that one account, I use Thunderbird. Everything else, I still use Apple Mail. But my issue now, and I don't know if it was from a power outage or something, and I'm trying to figure out if it's a RAM issue or a software issue or a whatever. If I let my computer sit for a while and I come back, Firefox doesn't work. Much, Facebook or Instagram or other things might not work. YouTube, it'll just not load anything. And the Microsoft updater for the Office applications says it can't connect. There's an issue. Please click somewhere. So I have to restart the computer and everything works fine. Sometimes if it's not been too long and it's just Firefox not doing well, even though Chrome and Safari work fine, I just have to close it out and restart it, and then it works okay, but not always. That's, so a lot of times I'll have to restart the computer. So I was trying to figure out if it could be a RAM issue, if there's an easier way than memtest 86 to test the RAM.
Wow, this is interesting. So your computer goes to sleep when you leave it?
Yeah, or even if I'm just using it for a while and
so it's more of a time period thing than even if you're
still using it and it goes to sleep while you're
because I was actually on a Zoom yesterday, and when I would go back to doing the stuff in Firefox, it was not connecting, and the alert from Microsoft Office came up.
Okay, that's your network card. So here's the deal: are you Ethernet or Wi-Fi?
Both. Well, I've got both. But
okay.
Yeah. And it's a Mac 2013.
Oh, never mind. If it's a Windows machine, it's not unusual for in the device manager, you can see power settings for devices, and some devices, and this is very typical of network cards, will go to sleep. And a network card could, in fact, go to sleep in the middle of, a conversation, in which case you'd get exactly that symptom. But it's on a Mac. That sounds like a DNS problem, maybe?
So you're on the Zoom call, and then you end the Zoom call, and you go back to... So the Zoom call is still going on in the background. You try to use Firefox, and you can't connect to the internet, but Zoom is still connected?
Yep, and the Apple Safari would work. Chrome would work, but that's been crashing too at times. It just crashed, not able to start.
Oh, they won't work.
That's
not merely can't get to a site, but they actually won't start.
Yeah, and Firefox will operate, but it won't go anywhere.
That's a memory issue.
Yeah.
That's a memory issue. So Activity Monitor is your friend on this one. That's a program you have on all Macs. You run that. You can look at memory usage. But what I would look at, and I actually found this on this computer, brand new MacBook Pro, I noticed it wasn't getting great battery life, but worse, I noticed it was still hot after it had been shut down and it was getting powered or not powered. Mm-hmm. It was warm, which means something's running in the background. So if you go to Activity Monitor, you can see what's going on. You can see what's using RAM. You can see what's running in the background. And in my case, it was a file manager that's part of the system, but was using 100% CPU almost all the time.
Oh, dear.
And it was because of
iCloud?
iCloud. It was because I had the iCloud desktop
iCloud issue.
Turned on. So I turned off having my documents and desktop folder in iCloud, and I stopped that process, and I haven't had the problem since. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe it was because it was a new computer and it was trying to upload all, the documents folder is large, and so it was in the background constantly uploading. But I think that you have, because you're in a Zoom call, it's eating all your memory. Chrome and Firefox, notorious memory hogs. It sounds like Zoom is not releasing the memory. Firefox can't get sufficient memory to launch. It's you can run this Activity Monitor in the background and keep an eye on RAM. You see it has different tabs, including a memory tab. You can see what's using memory.
But it just doesn't work, though, in regard to normally when it's just sitting overnight and I come into the office in the morning and
which sounds to me like a process is running that has a memory leak or something like that. So how old is the MacBook? You said 2013?
2013. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably have a lot of cruft still running. I would look at processes that are running in the background. Close stuff you don't need. This has happened to me before on Intel Macs, where there are processes that take up a ridiculous amount of, it's a Finder process or something like that. I think that's what I'm seeing here. And
would getting new RAM from OWC or
no, it's not a RAM. It's not that the RAM is faulty, in my opinion. I mean, getting some more RAM might help. But really, you want to track down this process. If it's a memory leak, for instance, so let's say you've got a driver that's running in the background, and it has what we call a memory leak, which is that it allocates memory and forgets to release it. And over time, it continues to allocate memory, and never releases it. And eventually, if it's running long enough, it fills up your memory. There's no memory left. And having more memory will solve that just like adding a fourth lane to the superhighway will solve that until the process fills that up.
Yep.
And then you're going to have the same problem. So I would look at Activity Monitor and really try to understand what's running in the background, what's using processing power. Macs are good, but there's it's like any computer, you can have stuff. And this goes, by the way, with on a Windows machine as well. The monitors, the resource monitors, are very useful. They're third-party ones, but I think the one that comes on the Mac is just fine. And I think it's going to be very helpful to see what Firefox uses a lot of RAM. Chrome uses even more. So it sounds to me that's what's happening is something's eating up your RAM.
That works. I appreciate that.
Zoom runs in the background, by the way, and you could turn off that little Zoom stub that's always running. That might be the culprit. Who knows?
Yeah, I can do that. And speaking of, I forgot, I wanted to also mention, Watkins Glen is up the road, and I really hope F1 some year returns there since they left in 1980, or the last race there was there. So I'm glad you enjoyed it in Vegas.
It was so much fun. Well, thanks to that Netflix show Drive to Survive, suddenly there is a massive American audience. F1 is owned by Liberty Media, an American cable company. So I think you're going to see more American races. But I have to say the Europeans are not happy about that. I was on a cruise with the Stig, Perry McCarthy, who's a former F1 driver. He was the black suited driver on what was it called?
Top Speed or Top Gear?
Top Gear. And so he gave lectures, and there are people going, those Americans, there's another race in America. And they don't want, Spa and Monza and Silverstone, all the classic races to be superseded by American racetracks. And yet, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. There's a lot of money to be made in the U.S. 350,000 people for the Las Vegas race. I think it was even more in Miami. So, it's money, and they're adding races. They actually have a longer season than ever these days. So, I think Watkins Glen is a classic racetrack. It'd be really interesting to be up there. Yeah. And of course,
thank you. Happy Hanukkah to Clippy.
Happy Hanukkah. I hope you have a wonderful Hanukkah. Get lots of gelt.
Yes, indeed.
Here, the Chabad here has a gelt drop. They get a helicopter.
Really?
They get a helicopter over the fairgrounds, and they drop chocolate gelt out of
That's awesome.
Out of the helicopter for all the kids. It's really cute. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Yeah, the Stig was great. I really enjoyed Perry. It was so much fun to spend time with him and talk to him about all of this. It was great. I think we can now and must now, because we've got Twit in 5 minutes, wrap this puppy up.
Wrap it up. Put a bow on it.
It's my fault because I forgot that we have had one more break. I am Leo Laporte. You might have heard of me. I will be back in just a minute for Twit, and then, of course, on Tuesday and Wednesday for Windows Weekly, This Week in Google, Mac Break Weekly, Security Now. That there is Micah Sargent. He'll be back on Thursdays for Tech News Weekly, Tuesdays for iOS Today, and, of course, every Sunday we get together, and he dresses nicely, and I dress like this. But we always have nice socks. Somebody wrote me an email. He said, I listen to your shows for information, to learn about things, and all I'm getting is talk about socks.
Oh, boy.
So that's it. Bye-bye.
Bye. It was nice having you around.
We'll try not to talk too much about socks.
I don't think we ever talk too much about socks.
As the Tech Guys is every Sunday. You can never talk too much about socks. We do it live 11 a.m. to about 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's around, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1900 UTC. You can watch live. We thought we were going to take away the live streaming, but we figured out we could stream for free on YouTube. But we were going to do it just during the show. So we start the stream right when the show begins, and we cut the stream off when the show ends. So go to Twit, youtube.com/Twit, our YouTube channel, and subscribe, smash the bell or whatever the kids do. And that way you'll get a notification when we go live, or just, when we, the show's going to be on a Sunday morning or afternoon. Just go over and you can watch it there. Of course, after the fact, it is a podcast. You can subscribe. The Tech Guy Labs page still works. It takes you to the twit.tv Ask the Tech Guys page. You can subscribe there. for on your favorite podcast. You could download shows there. The show notes are there. All that good stuff. Thanks to our boy producer John Ashley, who does such a great job putting this show together.
We need to talk about that title.
He's gonna beat me up after the show.
If I beat you up, then I'm not getting paid.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't. Be my advice. Anything you want to say, Micah?
Yeah, join Club Twit, twit.tv/Club Twit.
Send us your emails.
$7 monthly to $4 a year. Yeah. Also, you can. I guess you didn't want me to talk about Club Twit. Also, you can send.
No,
us
you
your
can
emails.
talk about Club Twit.
ATG.
I want you to talk about Club Twit. I just, I'm squirrely, aren't I?
A little bit.
I don't want to beg.
Well, and also you don't have much time. So atg@twit.tv is how you can send in your emails. You can send in text. That way it'll end up in the mailbox. You can send us video or audio there. Also, you can call us during the week at 888-724-2884. If you call during the week, you can leave a voicemail that we will play back and be able to answer live on the show. The URL that you can go to on your browser, on your phone, or on your computer is call.twit.tv to join us and hopefully get to ask your question live on air.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you next time on Ask the Tech Guys. Bye-bye. Listeners of this program get an ad-free version if they're members of Club Twit. $7 a month gives you ad-free versions of all of our shows, plus membership in the Club Twit Discord, a great clubhouse for Twit listeners. And finally, the Twit Plus feed, with shows like Stacy's Book Club, The Untitled Linux Show, and more. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks for your support.